Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, 13th of June, 2010. I'm your host, Dan Train, and joining me once again, Zachary Burgess.
Hi.
And Robert Kemp.
He can't talk now because he's walked away from the microphone, even though he specifically left himself enough time to come sit back down.
He specifically said he'd walk over to the microphone in time.
Then he got up again.
Are you there now, Rob?
I had a sudden thought that someone walking in through the front door to the house might suddenly go, "Hello!" and it'd be a bit too audible if I didn't close the door.
Right, so could that happen? Will that happen?
It's logistical. Yeah, quite likely, yes.
It's quite likely. Okay, so we may have other people in this podcast, but I'll just introduce these two for the time being.
Guests.
Indeed. So you two both still in the same room?
Yes. I've still not yet acquired a computer, which should be fixed at some point this week in theory.
So is one on the way?
Well, not necessarily on the way at this present moment, but it should be very soon.
Okay.
It's ordered, but it's a weekend.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So what have you ordered? Exactly. Did you
computer.
Get like an off-the-shelf one? Or
No, it was by parts. So I put in all the stuff that I thought was good. After consulting various people and internet.
So who have you been consulting all your techie friends to know exactly the components to buy for your awesome new PC?
Yes, sort of.
As far as I can tell, it's pretty much like mine.
Yeah.
There's
not really much, not really very much of a choice to make.
No, it's fairly
the same as everyone else.
Yeah, basically, it's fairly standard, isn't it, right now?
Yeah.
I think
it's basically buy an i7, get triple channel RAM, get some terabytes of hard disk space, and a GeForce 400.
Yeah, and away you go, basically. That must cost a pretty penny, though.
Wow.
No?
Not as much as my last PC.
I guess that's true. Yeah, things have come down in price. Although memory seems to be quite expensive these days, I have noticed. Like, for a long while.
It wasn't that bad when I got picked up my lot. I think DDR2 is going up in price because DDR3 is starting to hit its moment. Because the price on the DDR3 wasn't too bad when I picked mine up.
Oh, okay. So, but why would that make DDR2 more expensive?
That's just what happens. Yeah, that's just what happens. They stop manufacturing it. It gets rarer, but the demand is still there.
Yeah, because people want to upgrade their motherboards that are only capable of DDR2. Yeah.
For instance, I fairly recently added an extra gig to my old computer, which is running DDR1.
Yeah.
And that was more expensive by a factor of 1.5 times the equivalent in DDR2.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Bloody hell. Okay.
And even worse than that, once upon a time I looked really far back to see if I could get hold of some SD RAM. Something that I can't remember why. Some really ancient... I can't remember why I was looking at this, but some really ancient style RAM, and the price was ludicrous.
That just kind of underlines the fact that if you're getting rid of your PC, it's probably worth putting some of the components on eBay, because somebody might want them.
Exactly,
Yes. That's what I ideally want to do with my old computer. I'm not sure how I should attempt to sell it, just as a broken computer in one big lump. And just say, this should theoretically work if you can work out what's wrong with the motherboard, because all the other parts are just fine.
Yeah, you probably won't get much for that, to be honest. You might be better off selling all the individual bits for people who, really want some, 5-year-old...
Old RAM, yeah.
Yeah, a bit of RAM or something, yeah. Interesting.
And a broken motherboard.
I'd definitely sell it in bits. There's no one that wants a computer that's been through someone else, let's put it that way.
Yeah, nobody does, yeah.
It's not like it will have a hard disk in it.
Well, no, but even so, it's just not the done thing. Nobody really buys machines like that secondhand.
So you'll be moving on to Windows 7 or something, won't you?
Theoretically. I kind of want the dual boot between Windows 7 and XP, providing that works without too much hassle.
It shouldn't be too difficult, should it? No. You've got, what, you're going to use your old hard disk? Stick that in there as well? And then
Probably not. I'll probably just plug it in long enough to get the files off it.
Yeah, okay.
Move the important shit onto the new hard disk.
It's probably sensible, yeah.
Start over fresh. That's the plan, really.
Yeah, good plan. Awesome. Well, then you'll be able to play all the latest games, which will be helpful.
Yeah, I'll be able to play all the games that I've already brought that didn't run on my last system, like Red Faction and Mass Effect.
What, Mass Effect? Mass Effect 1?
Yeah.
Did that not run?
Well, it ran, but not well enough to be... It was basically the hacking minigame. It ran too slow for me to be able to do that effectively every time. And it's actually harder than that. Hacking minigame is a lot harder on PC anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was like, if I can't hack these containers, I'm never going to have enough stuff.
Okay, so that stopped you from playing the whole game. That's quite interesting, considering it's like the simplest part of the game that is actually tripping you up on in terms of performance.
Well, yeah. But it is definitely a lot more difficult on PC than it is on the Xbox.
What have they changed?
It's totally different. It's like on the Xbox, the hacking minigame is like push the right button and it pops up.
Yeah.
But on the PC, it's got basically it's like 3 concentric rings, and they have like little obstacles that move around them, and then you have to move the pointer into the middle of the ring. It's kind of like the circular Frogger, basically. But then it's still on a time limit, so you only have like 15 seconds to move your pointer into the middle of the ring. And if you hit any of the obstacles, it resets. It's just a total bastard. It's really actually quite difficult to succeed.
It's really weird. I wonder why they changed that. Like, I mean, obviously it was a bit too simplistic in the first place. It wasn't hacking, it was pressing 3 buttons or something. But, I don't know. It's going a bit over the top. Going a bit Bioshock, isn't it, with the whole pipe dreams situation there.
Not quite that bad.
No.
What are you doing, for Christ's sake? Rob has left them to Susie again.
I was trying to stealthily retrieve a pen and bit of paper, seeing as I don't have a machine in comfortable distance, so I can record the tags.
But I'm not going to let you do that stealthily. I have to call it out.
Yeah, call out all of Rob's movements, like in the studio. So, should we get down to brass tacks then?
The shittiest sort of thing to possibly write on.
Yeah, you're going to need to get up again. Go on.
No, it's all right. There's a solid bit inside. It's fine. We can carry on.
Okay,
we can carry on. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask Rob this time since he's not been talking. Ask myself. No, I'm asking Rob. What have you been playing this week, man?
I have not been. Well, actually, I'm going to refer to what I was playing last week that we didn't cover first. Because we got Red Deaded out of the water.
Also, you made me talk about spoons.
About spoons, yes, that was I was going to mention that.
An update
why
on that.
You should now refer to me as Spoon.
Which we're not going to do.
No. It's because they added the ability for the my vocal name in Dirt 2 to be Spoon.
Ah.
Okay.
So I couldn't have in Grid. I had to be Iceman in Grid.
You had to be Iceman.
Well, it's the closest thing to Glacial I could find.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a bit Top Gun, though, isn't it? Iceman. Spoon's a lot better.
Yeah. Yes.
So what other weird stuff can you be in Dirt 2, then? I mean,
be Duck.
Duck.
Well, I think you could be Duck. That might have been in Grid, but I can't remember. I think one of them had Duck.
Why is Spoon... Is fork in there and knife? I mean, why is Spoon in there?
I just think Spoon's cool. It's like...
Well, no, it is cool, but I mean, somebody obviously thought that through at some point and had a voice artist record.
Fork is pretty much less cool. It just doesn't have the same ring to it as Spoon.
Going back to worms.
I agree.
Team utensils.
Yeah.
Team utensils. Was that one of the default teams
in
Worms?
Default CPU teams. And then I had to remake them in Worms 2, where it's like, but the trouble with, well, of course, in Worms 2, you had 8 worms. You could have up to 8 worms per team. So you set in the first 4 from the original, and then it's like, now I have to come up with 4 more utensils.
Oh no! What, are you coming up with all kinds of weird, fish knives and things?
Yeah. You kind of run out of ideas after the first 4.
I guess.
I don't know. You could have things like colander or
if you can spell
sieve.
Oh yeah, they're utensils, aren't they? They're not I was thinking cutlery, but utensils covers quite a larger.
That covers everything. There's surely pans and George Foreman's perhaps or others that appliance.
I get the feeling that when I did it, I may have put 2 different variations of spatula because I couldn't think of anything.
Spatula and spatula.
No, I meant 2 different types of spatula.
Metal spatula. I suppose we didn't have the forefork back then to think of pizza slicer. But...
Yeah, I guess. But then again, of course, you never actually saw those last names. At least the last 2, because you never played 8 on 8.
What were the names of the classic team though, with Windmill and all that?
The one that I stole, basically.
Yeah, but
the
it was a default
that I
one,
just
wasn't it?
nicked. No, I don't think they were. Well, I don't know actually. I don't know if they were actually in the game because they were on the back of the box.
I think they might have been.
Oh, were they?
I think it was like the developer team.
Spadge.
No, not. I didn't use that one though, did I? Because my team was Windmill, Smidge, Dodger, and Fluff.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember.
And then the only one of the other 4 to make up the 8 that I remember was Prof. And that was it. I don't remember the rest of them.
So what?
I had a weird team,
happened?
didn't I? Because it sort of started out as Sonic-y type characters, and then for some reason there was Taz.
I can't remember your teams, really.
No, neither can I. I think
What
it was a
happened to
Thomas
Worms,
as
anyway?
well, after Terror A. Thomas on the Amiga.
Yeah, I think that might have been true.
Because like Worms, Worms 2 was like really good, wasn't it? Like they improved it quite significantly.
Well,
It's the
And-
best one.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
then what happened after
It
that?
wasn't as hardcore, though. It was just
Well, no, but it was more configurable than any of the others that followed.
Yeah, that was the advantage. It had awesome options.
Yeah, you could set up the
But then, of
perfect
course,
game.
once they went past 2, they suddenly got to 3 and were like, now we can add a D, 3D, and then it failed because no one wants Playworms in 3D. That's just not going to work.
I don't know. The second experiment they tried in 3D, I forget what it was called. It was like Forts or something.
Yeah.
That was okay because it mixed up the strategy, but it wasn't really
Worms.
true work. No,
Yeah.
it was an interesting experiment. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the same game. You know, you wouldn't play it the same way. It was basically about sort of a lot more about movement than sort of just casual shots and destruction. And
So I remember the original Worms 3D because it was the classic movement timer problem where it's like you had to just run around like jiggle 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 jiggle, and you could because it was like so like it was almost the equivalent of sort of 8-directional movement from the old Ghost Recon games where you had to like stop and then rotate and then move forwards in a straight line and then stop and then rotate.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Because it was like
so good.
That was the early days of Worms in 3D, where it wasn't very well done.
that was also the point where Sega took over, wasn't it? Or started working with Team 17.
Yeah,
Isn't there's a 2D Worms on like Xbox Live Arcade, but it's not as good as like Worms 2 for some reason.
No, it's still cut down. It's still not the. Well, you know, there is a Worms 2 at Live Arcade game. You know, so yeah, the second Live Arcade game, not actually Worms 2. Confusingly,
right.
Worms 2, and it's I don't know. I think it's got more in it. It's closer, but I don't know how much of still how close it is to the original.
There's a version for iPhone as well, which you'd think would be good, but no.
Yeah, no, I think that's a port of the first XBLA version.
Yeah, apparently not good. Yeah, so already.
Why are we talking about Worms?
Because it was the first computer game anyone seemed to mention. Oh yeah, Spoon.
It came off Spoon because it sounded like a utensil.
Oh right, yeah.
There we go.
That's it. Okay,
short-term memory loss.
We've rediscovered the chain of thoughts there.
No, we're talking about games we haven't played.
So we were attempting to talk about.
I was attempting to talk about Dirt 2 before I got unceremoniously cut off again. No, it was a pretty cool aside. Worms was awesome. Patsy's Magic Bullet for the win.
Hoping pictures.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was playing Dirt 2 because I kind of got a bit bored of Grid. Not because it's bad, but because it's just... it makes you do the events you don't really want to do too much.
Yeah.
It's like I want to do more of the muscle car street racing and stuff like that, but there isn't actually much of that. Or the demolition derbies. Annoyingly, I find myself wanting to do the American style racing, which I don't feel too comfortable with, but because the Japanese stuff is all about drifting and precision driving, and some of the events are actually just frustrating under the control scheme. I'm starting to get the hang of drift mechanics, but they're still not easy. Because I tend not to play with all the assists on and all that stuff, so they're still a bit irritating. But anyway, yeah, I got a bit bored of Tarmac, so I thought I'd throw in Dirt, see what happens, and while I'm at it, I might as well score some achievements with this rubbish. And I say I don't mean rubbish in the. I was trying to stop myself from saying from this shit, but it's sort of.
I know.
Rubbish actually sounded more derogatory there.
And then you said shit anyway.
Yeah.
That gets us our explicit tag for this week.
Anti-swear. Just have to make sure we get the explicit warning.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, you totally did say what we thought you said last time.
Oh, I haven't listened to that bit again yet.
I haven't. I did, didn't I? I don't know how I managed to say that. I think it must
dropped the C-bomb.
Awesome. I definitely did mean to when I was saying it, and I listened back because afterwards I was like, "What did I even say?" And it was hunt, wasn't it, with an H?
Yeah.
That
I was hunting.
Yeah, I was hunting, and I said hunting, and I don't know how that turned into the C word.
That's so funny, though.
So never mind. That was quite funny.
Oh, dear. Yes. I keep assiding myself.
Yeah, that was your fault.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've been playing Dirt 2 to get some achievements, and and I have a good time, obviously, and it is properly good, unsurprisingly. Yeah? It sort of moves away from the graphically. It moves away from the old realism is brown thing, which is nice.
Oh, good. Because that was
given that there's so much dirt around, there's actually more vibrancy in the cars and stuff, so it doesn't look quite so brown.
They must have been responding to that kind of complaint about the first one, because that was one of the premier people who games that did that realism is brown thing, wasn't it?
Over bloom, over dirty, that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Actually did look a bit like a sea of crap. So it's like a poop with a lens.
I don't know. It looked quite cool at the time, but then it was already overdone before it had even been released, almost.
Yeah. It's weird because I'm not even sure why they did it, because some of the early HDR games didn't sort of have the need to be brown, did they? Like Project Gotham 3, for instance, was one of the first.
That's true.
And,
that was almost pre-brown.
Yeah, it was unbrowned.
Yeah.
Was it Uncharted that takes the Mickey out of it, that with the HD filter or something they call it, that makes everything brown.
Uncharted is just brilliant. I have to play this game. It just sounds amazing, everything about it. Uncharted 2.
It's good. It's very good.
It's very good. I'll have to steal your PS3 and have a go. So yeah, Dirt 2. So does it have the pyramid thing from the first one, where you have to progress in a pyramid?
Kinda, yeah.
Because I never finished the first one. Because it was really long.
Well done. You successfully kept your composure there.
I'm having a pizza menu shoved in my face. It's that explains the sort of as it came out of me there.
I see.
Let's try and stay on topic for a second. just get it overdone with, and then we can let the random explode.
I don't think that's ever going to quite work, is it?
No. So you're done talking about Dirt yet?
No.
Well, carry on then.
It doesn't have the pyramid structure. It has the more structure random events just sort of turn up, basically. As you get more experience points, they sort of unlock. There is a fixed pattern to them, but the way they're arranged and stuff, you don't have to do them in any pattern at all. You just go where you want, do the event you want, move on. Which is cool, because it means you get to pick and choose how you do it, with even more freedom than any of the other ones. But
well, that's good.
And it makes you, it's experience and stuff. It makes you feel like you're playing a skanky RPG in some non-real way. It's just some way of saying, you've leveled up, because that always makes you feel good.
But I presume you can't just play Rally. You have to do all this sort of American...
Well, yeah, you've picked up on the thing that I've noticed that probably annoys me the most about the game more than anything else. At least in Dirt 1, you still had the option of saying, I want to do just a rally. You know, traditional Colin McRae rally style. You could just go, I want to do a rally, I want to do a championship, do it properly. You didn't have to do the campaign tray. Now you can't.
Right.
They've totally got rid of that. And in fact, rally seems to have very little emphasis, which is a shame because the pace notes are still awesome to the point where you can choose your co-driver and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. You can. At the moment, I have a choice between a Scottish bloke, which is cool, or a whiny American woman. So I picked the Scottish bloke.
Yeah, just to remind you of Nicky Grist or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Is that the guy?
Yeah, that's him.
Colin McRae's actual...
And the annoying thing is, though, at some point I'm going to have to use the whiny woman, because there's an achievement in the game for winning 2 cups in a tournament with a female co-driver, which has the snappy title, 2 cups, 1 girl.
Oh, dearie me. Lovely. I'm just waiting for the final of the World Cup, so it's like 2 teams, 1 cup. That'd be awesome.
But it's not even a cup. That's the problem.
No.
One weird ball thing.
Yeah.
2 teams, 1 hand of nod.
Yeah, it is like a hand of nod, isn't it? Sort of. No, it's not in a hand though, is it? It's like behind somebody's back, almost, isn't it?
It's sort of a hand, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I can't. It sort of just looks like a globe that's sort of been attached to some plant or something. Like it's been overgrown and it's being held up.
Isn't it like a woman with wings or something that are held back? Like, I don't know.
No, isn't that what you put on a Rolls Royce?
Yeah, similar to that. Yeah, similar to that, but with a globe on top, sort of. I don't know. Is that the World Cup? I don't know.
It just sort of looks
World
like
Cup
a
is
fist
like,
pushing through some goop.
Yeah, it's like quite chunky.
Yeah.
Solid.
Well, you can't drink out of it anyway.
No.
Which is a shame.
Unless it's hollow.
Yeah, unless it's hollow and there's a secret drinking hole.
You can drink out of like the FA Cup, can't you? You take the top off and you can drink out of it.
Yeah, that's actually a cup.
Yeah, it's a proper cup.
So anyway, back to Rob's games again.
What else?
There's not much else to say really, other than it's a better presented version of Dirt 1 with slightly more emphasis on the racing element compared to sort of time-based element. There's more of an emphasis on racing other cars on the track.
Is that how's the AI on those guys and like the frame rate when they're all bumming around near you?
For me, not a problem.
That wasn't so good in the first one. I found. Like,
well, I'm not playing the Xbox version. I'm playing PC.
Yeah,
and running on my rig, there's very little problem at all.
Okay,
it's silky smooth the whole time.
But how about their sort of behaviour, like their AI? Are they?
It's pretty good actually. They do stick to. They can be sort of predictable in the grid sense, and that where they're going to brake and what line they're going to take.
Okay.
Sometimes, but that just gives you an opening on how to drive crazily if you want to sort of barge your way past them. They're pretty solid. If you're playing on something like the 2 harder difficulty levels, they will put up a decent challenge without feeling like they're just path movementing, like cheating their way around the course. They do feel like they're actually part of it and driving properly. But then again, Codemasters games have never really had that problem, have they?
No.
The classic racing problems like rubber banding or not true driving or...
They're sort of experts, aren't they, on racing games,
yeah.
I guess, Codemasters.
So they make you feel like it's like the AI isn't it's not constrained by any sort of predetermined logic, like random shit can happen to them too.
Yeah,
which is emphasised. I haven't really seen it too much in Dirt yet, but in Grid there were some great moments where cars in front would just crash out, or tyres would blow, or something like that,
cool.
and they just spin out, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. I don't know if I mentioned this when I was speaking about Grid before, but there was an amazing moment where I was in third place. There was no way I could catch up with the 2 guys in front, except for the fact that one of the tyres blew on the guy in first. He then spun and took out the guy on second, and I narrowly avoided the crash to win.
Oh,
it was
genius.
Awesome.
It's
like the game's not meant for moments like that, but it was brilliant.
No. Does Dirt 2 have the rewind thing then?
Yeah, you still get flashbacks. And they're still, as we discussed before, slightly awkward to... I think they were in Dirt 1.
What, the...
or did they introduce that in Grid?
Yeah, Grid.
They might have introduced that in Grid, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, so that's a new feature for Dirt.
Yeah, it's new for Dirt, but it's still implemented in that slightly awkward way, in that you either have to push the instant replay button, which sort of fades out, goes to the replay, or goes through the menu system to get to it. It still doesn't feel quite slick enough.
No, but it's there. Okay,
and that's it. And they still haven't made the time you can rewind quite big enough.
Okay, yeah.
It's fine if you make a mistake and instantly go, right, I'm going to stop that. But if you've made an awesome mistake that's resulted in a ridiculous crash,
and you've watched it,
you're probably going to have to restart the race because you'll rewind time and you'll be just about to crash.
That is annoying. Okay.
It's pretty much useless. There's been times where that happened in Grid where I made a mistake, ploughed into a tyre wall and thought, oh, that's fine, I'll just plough out the other side. And then tried to plough through the second wall on the other side of this chicane, and got my car wedged up on tyres. Kind of like, imagine a car on bricks. They were tyres there instead of bricks.
Oh, okay.
It was rubbish. So I tried to rewind time, and obviously, because I've been doing this, took a little bit of time. It rewound it to the precise point where I hit the wall in the first place. So it's like, well, this isn't helping at all.
All you get is to see the whole exact crash again.
Pretty much.
Oh dear. Interesting.
But it is very good. Oh, and the other thing that was nice is this is the first game I've played that's part of Games for Windows Live.
Oh, yeah. Notorious.
Well, so far there's been no noticeable difference between that and Xbox Live's service. It is nice, however, that the achievement system is all completely linked. For instance, according to the Xbox, it doesn't even know that I've played the PC version of the game. Dirt 2 is Dirt 2.
Oh.
Regardless of format.
No, that's not always the case.
Oh, is it not always?
It's like Fallout 3, you can get the achievements for the Xbox and the PC separately, so you can get twice as many points.
Weird.
So, do you know what happens if you put Dirt 2 into your Xbox? If you had one?
Honestly, no, but it's displayed without any difference. It's not like got a PC marker on it or anything.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Same with viewing Xbox games on the PC. They all look like just games, which I think is fair enough.
I think
format of choice and all that.
Yeah, exactly. That's good.
And I haven't had too much of a problem with the Games for Windows interface either so far. I did have one glitch when I first started using it, in that, well, it didn't seem to quite know where the mouse was and highlight the wrong button. Or
how does it work exactly?
Behave a bit weirdly. It was like moving around the screen, it would highlight the icons on the interface depending on where the mouse was correctly. But then when I clicked, it would click something that wasn't the button I was over.
Oh, I know that.
So I had a slight glitch, but that was fine when I reset the resolution to something nice.
So I've not seen Games for Windows Live in action. Like, is it like an overlay like Steam does?
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
just a bar that comes down from the top of the screen. Press home. They decide to use a button that obviously is not used for anything else.
If you've, I was about to say, if you've used remote desktop, it's almost a bit like that in the way the sort of initial bar comes down, because you can choose to minimize and close the game from there.
I see.
Or you can open it up to see things about your friends list, your achievements list. It's a bit PC-ified, so it doesn't have the same look and feel as the Xbox one. It's all light blue and orange.
But that was intentional, because when they first made the Games Windows Live interface, it was basically a direct copy of the Xbox one, including the actual button icons, which didn't quite work according to plan.
I can imagine.
You still get like things like the achievement pop-ups and stuff, but they're less pronounced. They always appear at the bottom of the screen, for instance, and they don't look quite so cool actually, but because they're sort of in a.
Does it make the same sound?
I think so. Yeah, they're sort of. But as I say, the emphasis isn't quite so big on them. The noise isn't so loud. They're not so noticeable. It might just be that you're running at a higher res or something, so they look smaller. But
yeah, probably true.
Are you playing these through?
There's something weird about the look that it tells you what button you're supposed to be pressing. Like, go to the guide and it starts flashing home rather than the Xbox symbol. It just looks a bit weird.
Oh, okay, yeah. Does it? I suppose they've taken every single Xbox symbol anywhere near it,
replaced
away
it with
from
something else.
Right. Okay. Because you don't really have a snappy, equivalent. I guess you've got the little Windows ball thing.
Yeah, I'd imagine if you're using an Xbox controller, though, you could still probably use the guide button to get into it. Button.
Yeah, I expect so.
But I'm not. I'm still using my Sidewinder steering wheel for Dirt.
Of course.
I could in theory attach the Xbox steering wheel to it, but I like the Sidewinder. It feels good in the hand.
Yeah, it's a tradition anyway. You have to use the old. It's Microsoft anyway, so it's just really old Microsoft.
I'm still surprised it works, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's quite old, and I didn't have to install any drivers for it. Just plugged it into 7, and it was like, hello.
Interesting. It's USB, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it USB 1?
Probably.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't need to be USB 2, does it? No,
because it doesn't need the data rate, no.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Well, that's good. So that's what you've been playing.
That's one of the things I've been playing, anyway. And it's good. And they get to call me Spoon, which is interesting.
How often is that actually used? Is it in the menus or do they?
Yeah, sort of like I don't know how much of Grid you've actually played, but at the end of that, your team leader and you'd have like a driving coach or mechanic dude who would tell you how bad your car was and things, or this woman lady that would sort of congratulate you or tell you what you've got to do next.
No.
And they'd always sort of say, "Hey, Iceman, good job." Or in the middle of the race, it's like, "Oh, don't worry, Iceman. That last knock didn't do too much damage. You're fine. Carry on driving. Blah 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 blah." Not that bad. Those two guys would refer to you and stuff. And that's the reason why I didn't choose my name, is because the American pronunciation of Robert isn't that flattering. Actually, just Robert in title doesn't sound flattering to me. It's not a good name. Rob is better, but there isn't a Rob option. I have to choose Robert. And in a sort of patronizing American lady accent, it's like, "Nice driving, Robert."
Robert.
Yeah, it's making me cringe.
Okay. So you have to choose something completely different.
So I had to choose something stupid, which is why I'm Iceman.
Iceman is really stupid though, because of the whole sort of Top Gun,
I think
was it
most
Val
of the names
Kilmer,
from Top. Yeah, I think most of the names from Top Gun are in the list.
Oh, you can be
like Goose. I should have chose Goose.
Goose. That would be good.
Goose.
Goose, no! Oh, poor Goose. And poor Goose's wife, Meg Ryan, whatever her name is.
That was her name in real life, but not in the
that's
film.
that's the actress's name. Yeah, I don't know.
Mrs. Goose.
Mrs. Goose. Yeah, Mother Goose.
Bob.
Tish.
Because they had a kid as well, didn't they? So she was Mother Goose.
Yeah, literally.
Well, except would that mean that she was the mother of Goose? No, that doesn't work.
No. I think we're putting too much thought into this, possibly.
Or not enough thought.
It's a complex semantic issue.
Indeed, it is. So you've been playing racing games. Any other kind of games?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, more racing games.
Another racing game that's of slightly less notability.
Which
is notoriety? No, I don't know. Some word that started in note. It was Sega and Sonic All Stars Racing. Wait, no, Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing.
Yeah.
Too much S.
Sonic and Sega and also some
Sonic,
Nintendo and people. Banjo.
No.
Isn't it got Banjo in it?
Well, the Xbox version does, yeah, it's got Banjo.
Oh.
But
So what have you got?
That's Microsoft.
I think the PS3 version has some dude as well. But the PC version gets no one.
Oh, okay. So
We're missing out on a character. But they said that Banjo was rubbish anyway because he actually had lower stats than most of the other characters. Because he's not a Sega All-Star.
Go on.
Oh, I see. Oh, I'm confused because I thought when I saw Banjo, I got things confused in my mind because Rare made Diddy Kong Racing, didn't they?
Yes.
Didn't they? Yeah, and of course Rare make Banjo, and I was thinking, well, that's a bit of a crossover. That's like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games or something going on here. But no.
Yeah. No, it's just a cheesy tie-in. Kind of like how Soul Calibur 4 had characters. No, Soul Calibur 2, sorry, had characters from each of the systems they were released on. The GameCube version gets Link, who was totally awesome.
Yeah. And then
the other shit.
Yeah, PS2 got Heihachi from Tekken, which makes a bit of sense. It's another Namco game, and
Xbox got like Spawn or something rubbish.
Yeah, some weird. Yeah, it was like it was not from any other game. He was just like devised by a comic book artist, I think.
Yeah, I think he was a comic book character. I think. Anyway, and Soul Calibur 4 had like Star Wars characters, didn't it? Like Darth Vader and Yoda and.
Yeah, which was rubbish. They really shouldn't have done that.
No,
Because Soul Calibur 4 isn't a bad game. They just decided to fuck it up with the Force.
Yeah. Let's just ruin this.
It just meant that anyone who was any good could basically stun or judder your your character into basically not being able to do very much. There were certain combinations of moves where you'd have no control.
Yeah,
what happened next, and it was rubbish. The problem with the game wasn't actually because Yoda was fairly cool. He was short, which meant you couldn't use high attacks on him.
That wasn't cool.
No, it was all right.
Really annoying.
But he was still fairly killable because he didn't have much in the way of move sets of his own. His entire special ability was moving the fuck away, crazy jumps and stuff. Not actually too much in the way of attack, so it was balanced. Whereas The Apprentice was just a bastard.
Yeah. And nobody cares about The Apprentice either, unless you've played that game.
He was from Force Unleashed, wasn't he? Or?
Yeah. There's a sequel coming up, apparently. But anyway, Sonic and Sega and Sonic Racing, All-Star Racing. Mario Kart Sonic.
Sonic Kart.
Sonic Kart.
What's it like?
Yeah. It's not bad, actually. My biggest concern so far is that it has been really, really easy. I mean, there's been very little in the way of difficulty. There's a couple of hard tracks, let's put it that way, that have caused me difficulty because I've driven into the wall rather than going around the corner. That kind of.
Does it have like different speeds, like CCs?
I don't think it does. I think it's like the difficulty levels are actually just the difficulty of the opponents rather than the speed. I could be wrong on that, but I'll have to.
Okay.
It's not noticeably different.
Because Mario Kart gets pretty hard, doesn't it? Like even if you're playing the AI, can do. Especially the original Mario Kart.
Sort of the higher levels, it's a bit of a struggle sometimes, but still doable.
Yeah, relatively, I'm saying though. For considering it's like a kiddie game, seen as
but even the easy levels, would put up a bit of. They'd be interesting at least.
Yeah.
But the problem, and it's weird that I'm describing this as a problem, is that they've made it way too easy, and I'm not quite sure how. And that you can just get miles ahead of your opponents.
Right. There's no rubber banding there.
No, there seems to be, and that's weird to say that that's a bad thing. But in this case, it probably would have made the game a bit more interesting.
I see. Yeah.
In the easier modes.
Because, it's not like it's a realistic.
When they catch up, you could still own them, but no.
Yeah.
It's weird to say, because it's often considered a bad thing, isn't it? Rubber banding, but. In this case, it might have actually helped.
Yeah. No.
But anyway,
contentious issue.
It's weird. The track design is quite nice, I'll have to say. That is pretty sweet. I mean, weirdly,
what sort of tracks are there? Are they based on levels from Sonic and things?
Yeah,
is that like a Green Hill Zone or something?
There's several themes they're based on. Like they haven't picked Green Hill, which I was expecting. They've picked Splash Hill, which is from Sonic Heroes.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I think it's the starting level in Sonic Heroes.
No, that's Ocean.
Oh, sorry, not Splash Hill. Splash Hill's from the upcoming Sonic 4.
Yeah, of course.
How do you know that? Have you been watching previews?
I've been reading the blog.
Oh dear, you're a Sonic fanboy, aren't you? Oh yeah, we all knew this. Yeah, but
I freaking love it.
Yeah, it better be good, but which it won't be.
Right. It's like if they fuck up. Well, there's probably the best plan they've had in a while. There will be some serious hell to pay.
It's like
they're almost sort of going at the same time. They're making that with Sonic Colors.
Oh, I saw that.
We're carefully. It's like they've moved all the stupid, shitty sidekick stuff and then put that into a separate game. Like we filtered it out.
Clever. So that everyone could just not buy that game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look at that just to see how shit it looked. Yeah. I sort of didn't bother reading the post about it because I sort of saw the name and thought, this is probably edutainment.
Yeah, it has some. It's like I don't know. It's one of those classic. Well, it's like it's looking like it's going to be another one of those classic. Like what we were talking about another game that did this the other week, weren't we? Where it was, I compared it to Wizball, where it's like colours, and you get the colours, and then they fill in the black and whiteness of the landscape or whatever.
Oh yeah, Prince of Persia. Wasn't
it?
Yeah.
It's looking very suspiciously like it's going to be something along those lines, with like the little coloured friendly things that you have to rescue or whatever.
Oh yes. Random aside from that point, because I mentioned it last time we talked about this. The Blob 2 is in production.
Is that so?
Just what you should know. Not that I've played the first or anything or have any real opinion about it. It's just whoa.
News.
But and the other thing,
you heard it here, third or fourth.
Last.
But the other thing that has looked slightly I haven't really seen very much about this Sonic Colors or whatever, but it's like obviously there's like the what are you looking at?
Oh, I just realised what I was writing on the back of. It's like Gnome is obviously planning to do some. Naomi, my other half, occasionally does like menu things for the sanctuary, which is below the place of work she works at. But it's just got local beef, local cheddar, and local smoked bacon, and that got my attention.
You're hungry, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah, okay. It's a hat trick burger.
Yeah.
Local smoked bacon.
A local hat trick.
So, as I was saying before I was interrupted by Rob's hunger.
Well, I had a bit of a moment there.
It's these coloured things in Sonic Colours or whatever, and obviously there's like one for each colour of the rainbow or whatever. So literally, pretty much the first post on the announcement for this in like the comments was like, "What do you want to bet that these things will suddenly turn into the Chaos Emeralds at some point?" Because it's like obviously because the Chaos Emeralds are like specifically coloured,
but they can never decide how many of them there are.
No, so there could easily be as many colours as they want.
So officially there's supposed to be 7, I think.
Yeah,
from the canon, but the first game's only had
6.
The
canon. The Sonic canon.
Well, if you were to follow the original and good story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Why would it have been 7 anyway?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Did they just... I mean, it's obvious that
they had the coloured ones, and then they had the grey emerald, which was considered the weird one, wasn't it, or something?
Grey emerald.
Which was green.
And then the master green emerald, which is more green. Maybe it's like a more awesome green. Well, it's actually emerald, so it had to be green.
So are there Chaos Emeralds in Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing?
How is that a difficult question to answer?
There are, but they're not available to every character. In the sense, it's basically one of the power-ups that Sonic and Shadow get.
I see.
It's like, you know how in Mario Kart, if you're miles behind, you get your character special?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically that. Every character in the game has an all-star move, which makes them go a bit mental for a bit. But the interesting thing is that they're all different. It's not like just boost to the front of the pack. Some of them are actually really crap, and I'm not quite sure what they do. Like, I've never actually used them myself, because so far it's been too easy, so I've always been at the front. But
so you never get to see them unless you're lagging behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
certain weapons are only open up to when you're behind. Mario Kart does the same thing. When you're in front, you only really get green shells and stuff.
But in Mario Kart, you end up behind sometimes.
You can do. Well, yeah, you get the blue shell, which there isn't an equivalent for here.
Right, okay. Unlike in Blur, where there is a sort of equivalent.
Yeah, but it's cool in Blur. Because you can sort of dodge it, and it's not that evil.
Yeah.
So you get so Sonic and Shadow can get Chaos Emeralds as their thing, so they'll turn into Super Sonic or Super Shadow, and
they just get all the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, they just get given them, and then they go rah and go charging forward for a few seconds.
Wouldn't it have been more logical to just give them Chaos Control and just have everyone else slow down?
Yeah, but they never really associate Chaos Control with Sonic, do they?
Apart from they did.
Well, at the end of Sonic Adventure 2, that one time.
Yeah, but then they carried that on into... What did they carry that on to? Why can I remember that? They did... I think it might have been in the anime thing, cartoon.
So have you tried the online on PC? Like, because it's a multiplayer game, really, isn't it?
Because there isn't any.
Oh.
Exactly. Well, massive oversight. There's split screen multiplayer, but there's no actual online. The bit I'm not sure about is whether or not this is a removal from the PC version.
Okay. What you mean? Whether there's no Xbox Live? Service?
I'm wondering if the Xbox Live support or PSN still worked correctly. Because it's a bit of an issue because these games are designed for multiplayer and they haven't done it.
And split screen on multiplayer is fine on consoles, but on PC it's quite unusual to say the least.
Yeah,
it's getting more.
There's no reason why we couldn't get it to work. It's just that I'm not sure anyone here that I know of would want to play it with me.
No,
so that idea is kind of lost on it, which is a shame. I can't complain too much because I did only get it for a 10-hour Steam sale, but
fair enough. Yeah. Well, that's probably all the PC sales they're going to get for that game, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah.
I took a bit of a punt on it because it hasn't got bad reviews. They all say it's a fairly good kart racer. But
yeah.
The lack of online, I seriously can't imagine that can't exist on the console versions. It just seems ridiculous for it not to be there. You do get a mission mode though, which is a bit different. in that you get a series of, there's like 60 or 70 odd individual challenges, some of which are quite inventive, actually. Like there's one of the ones you get is you have to be Dr. Robotnik, and you're driving around one of the courses based on Yagaria, or Final Fortress, they call it. I don't know if that's from a game.
Heroes.
Well, it's Heroes, is it? Okay. Yeah, it's based on that, the Final Fortress. But basically you're driving around and you get all the power-ups give you one of the weapons, which is a boxing glove. I'm not quite sure what game that comes from exactly, but it's a flying boxing glove.
Okay.
Boxing gloves.
Yeah, they're all jet-powered boxing gloves, basically, that you fire around the track.
That could just be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything.
That's just like, that's the Robotnik's kind of standard retarded shit that you made.
Yeah. That's one of the standard weapons, anyway. They're like the green shell of the game. And
I see.
Yeah, and the entire challenge is you have to hit all the targets before you reach the end of the course, basically, within a certain time limit. You know, little different things, or collect all the rings on this course before the time runs out, or slight variations, basically. The bit I was a bit annoyed about is if they bothered to put rings in on these missions, couldn't they have done a Mario Kart style, collect coins on the track to make yourself go that little bit quicker? Because I always liked that.
Yeah.
It was sort of okay. Apart from the trouble with the Mario Kart version is it was a one-off thing in that GBA game, where it's like the coins are on the track, and then whoever got there first picked them up, and then they didn't respawn.
Was there no way to steal them or remove them from characters? Because I thought in the SNES version you got hit, you dropped them. Or
well, in the GBA version, if you got hit, you lost some of them, but they didn't come out to, they weren't available for other people to steal, and they didn't respawn on the track. They were just lost.
That would make more sense in the kind of Sonic, the way that when Sonic gets hit, he loses rings. No.
Yeah, so they could be dropped around the track. Would be quite nice, actually. That'd be quite good. Which leads me to sort of my other concern with the game, in the sense that the mechanics of the game are pretty good, but they're pretty simple. I mean, more simple than most kart races, let's put it that way. You still get a drift mechanic, which you use to gain boost, but it's the way you do it is you hold. It's exactly the same as the Mario Kart system in that you hold down a button to start drifting, and then you control your drift from there. And the boost gets stronger the longer you drift. There's no like snaking strategy from previous Mario Kart games.
Are you sure?
No, not that I know of anyway, because it powers up over time. And you have the ability, when you're in the air, you can push one of the buttons to do a little trick that if you've got enough time to pull off, you get boost when you land. And there's no penalty for fucking it up. You just sort of don't get your boost when you land. But it's just too simple is the problem with the control scheme. Very rarely do you, and the track design doesn't help it in places, because it's very rarely you actually need to slow down for anything. In the same way, Mario Kart does the same thing. There's very little where if you actually... There are a couple of places where I can think of corners where with certain characters you do actually have to slow down to make it round. But it's too easy in terms of actually just driving.
You're kind of going through the motions a bit sometimes with it. Yeah, fair enough.
But they do have some fairly cool power-ups in places. Like, as I say, the boxing gloves just add an interesting sort of... It's just for the sounds they make, really, because they fly around the track and when they hit someone, they just go ding ding. And
that's quite cool.
And like one of the weapons you get at the back of the pack is the giant missile, which is kind of cool because it's basically like there's a humongous blue rocket starts flying over the track, and you can and it's manual detonation, so you can fly it up to whoever you want and go boom, which is cool.
So they have to be in your line of sight, sir.
Well, no, it's like the red shell, and then it will follow the track.
Oh, okay.
It won't home in specifically on someone. It will just follow the track, and then you blow it up when you want to.
Okay. Which could be cool. Anywhere, like when you can't even see it.
Yeah, in theory, you could just let it fly and then go boom at some point.
Whenever you like. Just hope somebody's around.
There might be a time limit on that. I don't know. I've never tried it. But there are some other ones as well, like the rainbow you drop behind you, which obscures the view of whoever drives into it. The crazy rainbow patterns.
Oh, what, like psychedelic acid trip?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And the... what else do you get? You get this weird star thing that I'm not quite sure, again, of the source or the reference, but that when you fire it, it flips someone's camera upside down. So there's still the controls are still the same,
but
their view of their character is upside down, which is quite off-putting.
So what are the Sega All-Stars then, beyond sort of the Sonic characters?
There's the Sonic world, there's the Jet Set Radio Future.
Really?
No
on which
way. There are tracks. Yeah, they've brought characters and tracks from that.
Why? I mean, that franchise is like dead as a doornail now. I mean, who?
I think they recognise it as being their most awesome, though.
Yeah.
One of the most awesome.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Because they brought, with it, you get some of the music. Unfortunately, the tracks are probably the weak link on there, because they're sort of based on the air, but they look sort of bland, is the problem with the Jet Set Radio ones. They don't look quite so vibrant as they did on foot, you know.
Right, yeah.
It's a bit strange. Apart from, what was that area with the sort of giant Chinese pillar in the middle with the pink dragon wrapped around it?
I know.
Sort of like the Twilight Zone or
the red light district area, yeah.
That track's kind of cool.
99th Street, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
Is that right? With Rapid 99, who was the all-female like gang type thing situation.
Anyway, it was there, and that was pretty cool. Okay, that's the best Jet Set Radio track. You get House of the Dead tracks.
Really?
Based in the Curian Mansion.
Okay.
They're not so great, to be honest. But they're not that bad. Some of them are pretty cool. Like there's one in a sewer system where everything, like all the power-ups are in a river floating down the track or something. So they're all moving and associated with it. So that's a bit different. And there are different routes you can take on that one as well, which is quite nice.
So you get zombies popping up all the time and you run them over.
There are occasional zombies, yes.
Right.
And I think there's a couple of characters called like Zombio and Robio or something supposedly from one of the house. Yeah, supposedly from one of the House of the Dead games, but don't know who they are, unless they're from something else. I don't know. But you get Billy Hatcher.
Billy Hatcher
again seems another bit of a weird choice because he only had one game on the GameCube. It wasn't a bad game by any stretch of the means, but it's hard to sort of call him an all-star.
Yeah, a Sega All-Star.
So basically they've pulled him and they've pulled a load of tracks, which are actually some of the better tracks, to be honest. They're quite expressive in terms of the artwork and stuff. And you get random eggs rolling around, which are getting in the way.
But what about the classics from what's it called? Sonic R. Not Sonic R. Sonic Riders. What about the classics with Samba de Amigo and Space Channel 5?
They exist, yes. Samba de Amigo has Amigo the monkey as a playable racer, and also a load of tracks based on it. One of which is really cool because the entire town, basically, you drive through areas and the entire place is dancing, like including all the buildings. And at one point, you go through a wrestling arena, and we're fighting people, and that's kind of a cool level. There's one of their levels isn't particularly nice visually. It's just kind of a town. It doesn't really move or do anything. It's just a Mexican town. It's or a Brazilian town. Pretty rubbish. But it's an okay track. It's just not very interesting to look at. What else do we get? What the other tracks you get based off? There's more Sonic because you get there's the Final Fortress levels. Super Monkey Ball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So II is a racer, and
they should do like stuff that's
not in a ball.
That'd be great.
Yeah, like, Crazy Taxi.
Not that I've seen. I haven't seen any Crazy Taxi.
They still haven't.
Crazy Taxi.
They still haven't released that on Xbox Live Arcade or anything like that. I don't think.
Well, no, but they've. Have you seen the pre-E3 announcement?
Yeah, I heard something.
They're basically Sega have done a deal with Microsoft to bring Dreamcast games in general.
Yeah, that's right.
To Live Arcade, meaning Sonic Adventure is going to turn up on Live Arcade.
That's crazy.
And then everyone who played Sonic 2006 will suddenly realise how shit it was.
Yeah, if anyone played Sonic 2000, well, I think they knew it was shit.
Well, yeah.
But the weird thing is
you can't play that without thinking this is crap. Can you really?
Well, no, you can't. It's hilarious. Is the thing. It's one of those comically bad games.
Oh, it's so awful. I could not believe it was ridiculous. I just played the demo. It's like, what is going on?
Actually, no, the demo was the best bit of the
best
game.
Part, yeah.
And that wasn't too bad because there was multiple routes you could do.
And it wasn't even the whole level either. That was like the good bit of that level.
Yeah.
Was that the game with that thing where it was like a moving level and then you fell off and you got stuck in the ceiling and you're like spinning around like a crazy...
It was the super speed levels.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'd hit something and die, but you'd just sit there wiggling against it.
Yeah. It didn't quite know what to do because it's sort of like against solid objects, things that... But the idea was that if you hit something in the way, you'd stumble, but you'd keep moving.
Yeah.
But it didn't know what to do if you hit something solid.
Or
like
something exactly perpendicular.
Yeah, like a bit of island or something that you can't just stumble over, or a solid wall or something. So you'd get stuck on it, and then it would register multiple hits, and you'd eventually die just tumbling over and over into this wall.
It's so bad. So been playing anything else then? Let's get moving along a little.
I'm trying to think who else is in Sega and Sonic All-Stars, because this is causing a conversation on the sides, which is good.
I guess
how long have we spent?
I don't know. There was
about
the
an
Choo-Choo.
Sorry, Choo-Choo Rocket.
Choo-Choo's in there as a racer.
What, a small... Is it the mouse or the cat? I can never remember.
Choo-Choos are the mice.
Yeah.
I forget what the cats were called. I think there was something obvious like Mows. Wow. You've got I can never remember their names, but two of the main fighters from Virtual Fighter are racers.
Oh yeah,
they had generic names.
Yeah, generic karate dudes. As we mentioned earlier,
that'd be good.
I
guess you got
really
House
see
of the
their
Dead already,
face.
didn't you?
But, yeah,
no, that's true.
You get because House of the Dead only has the mansion; it doesn't have your guys, or like
see-
Agent G.
You do see the Virtua Cop guys at the start of Virtua Cop when they drive up in their car and then get out
I suppose.
and shout some stupid retarded line at the bad guys.
Isn't one of them a girl in Virtua Cop 2? Is that right? I can't remember.
Maybe.
No, perhaps
No,
not.
I don't think they
Get
were.
out
Not
of
in-
the
not in
way. Or something, isn't it? It's like his
Yeah.
voice acting back in the day was pure terrible.
It's so
Do
awful.
you get? Wait, is Time Crisis Sega? It's not, is it?
No, it's Namco.
Oh yeah, I was thinking it's the same kind of game basically.
Yeah, like a game with really bad acting.
Yeah,
It's
that's
time.
how I thought of it.
It's time for the one-man army, Richard Miller.
It was alright though, that voiceover. It wasn't too bad voice acting, was it?
There's been a
the weird thing
kidnapping. It's Rachel, the daughter of the president of Circia, or something.
Yeah.
But the worst voice acting in those games is always like the enemies or the civilians.
Yeah,
Don't
no.
shoot!
Oh yeah. Don't
Yeah,
shoot me. Or the enemies in Time Crisis getting up and going, shucks!
Oh dear. This is awesome. I
Yeah,
never
Time
found
Crisis.
one actual arcade machine, a copy of the original Time Crisis, and because I played it so much on PlayStation, I knew where all the enemies were. I could actually get really far through it on like one credit.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
No, that was cool. I never was that great at gun games in the actual arcades. I'm not bad at them, but you still go through too much money. The one I was the best at was Virtua Cop 3.
Yeah.
Which was brilliant because I
remember that one.
It had the idea of pushing a pedal to slow down time, meaning you could shoot certain bullets out of the air that were dangerous, meaning you could actually stop yourself from dying in places.
Yeah.
And
cool.
it was a really well designed gun game actually.
I hate
A bit
all
harsh
the
on
ones
the pickups, but
I hate all the gimmicky ones that don't use just pistols. Like, I love the old pistols from like Time Crisis and Virtua Cop, and when it's like,
TC2.
now you can use a shotgun, now you can use a massive gun blade machine gun, now all this. There's always some gimmick, like some submachine gun or something.
Crisis Zone was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not for me. I prefer the just straight up.
Time Crisis 3 didn't play too badly either. It was even with the weapon switching options. Basically, your best bet was to stick with a pistol, and then occasionally.
Oh
use
yeah,
weapons.
I don't mind that. I don't mind if you can change the weapon on the screen.
Yeah, Zach just reminded me about Ghost Squad because he just pulled out of his wallet one of the Ghost Squad save cards.
I still have it in my wallet.
I've still
In
got
case we
mine
ever
somewhere.
come across a Ghost Squad machine.
We freaking
Defuse
loved that.
the bomb.
The only reason we played that so much was because we had one at Mega Bowl, and after every shift we'd have a game, pretty much. So we got quite far. Although we never did. You had to play it for like hours and hours and hours to get the costume, which was at the end of the list, which looked suspiciously like a bear.
Okay. Turn yourself
That
into
would
a
have
bear
been
with a
funny.
save
Although
card.
you do get the Rambo suit quite early on, so you can look like Rambo in the cutscenes.
I wonder if I've still got that initial D card with my
Oh yeah.
On it.
That actually just had D as your name.
Yeah, I started typing in Dan, and something went wrong or something, and I ended up with the name D. My initial.
His initial D.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I probably don't.
Do you ever remember the? I'll tell you one thing, that Mario Kart could have done and got away with it. Do you remember the Mario Kart arcade machine?
Yeah,
specifically the Mario Kart 2 arcade machine, because the first one wasn't much cop. Let's be honest.
I remember you liking it.
Yeah, no, the second one was funny because it actually had a progression system. In that, at the start of each race, there's a random set of items you get picked as being allowed to use. So when you run over a power up on the track, it only picks from that set. And as you progress through the game, you unlock the ability to use more and more power ups. Obviously, that worked on a save card basis again. So the more you played the game with a card, the more you unlocked these items. But there were so many items, and some of them were crazy. My personal favourite being the off-key horn.
The what?
The off-key horn. It was basically, there's one of these in Sega and Sonic All-Stars Racing as well, but it's not quite so off-key. Basically, if you fired it, everyone around your car at the time would go into a spin, but it just made an awesome noise. It's like,
that sounds brilliant.
And it was really loud through all the speakers. It was amazing.
Was it literally called the off-key horn?
Yes, quite literally.
Okay.
It was the off-key horn. And the announcer would say it like that as well, because it had play-by-play announcements. So it'd be like, oh, and he's hitting with the off-key horn.
I'm just imagining like a stupid arcade football game now, like a Mario Striker Sonic or something. Or, what would Mario
Striker Sonic?
Mario
so
Super
like
Strikers
Mario
or something.
playing Whack-A-Mole, but with Sonic's coming up.
No.
Striker Sonic.
But some stupid like sensible soccer or something, and like you get power ups and you can deploy like those annoying horns from the World Cup to annoy your opponents.
Seriously, that cannot have been. That's probably the worst idea. I mean, they'll look back at this World Cup in the future and say, "So, what do you remember about the South African World Cup?" Well, it sounded a bit like this.
Yeah, that'll be it.
It's just terrible. It makes we were saying this to Zach before, but it makes the entire crowd seem incredibly apathetic about everything that's happening. It's like, look at the goal, and the crowd goes,
Yeah, as they've been doing for the past 20 minutes anyway. So, yeah,
it was terrible.
It's not good.
Yeah, and even the commentators picked up on it, saying it sounds like a swarm of bees.
It really does, like Africanized bees.
It's Africanized bees, so there's a bit of a beat behind them. You mean, sort of like a bit of bongo bees.
Africanized bees is a real thing as well.
The bees that have been Africanized, or just African bees? You mean? Or...
No, they're specifically called Africanized.
Really?
Because they're I think don't you get them in like the US, but they're not meant to be.
That's right. They're not. What's that called? Alien or whatever, like introduced species.
Oh, okay. So the bees aren't supposed to be in Africa, but
they are supposed to be in Africa.
Africanized bees.
I think they are supposed to be in Africa, but they're not supposed to be in America. And they're like killer bees or something. Like people get scared of them when they don't really cause that much problem, really. I think. Well, they did at one point. Like some people got killed in like Central America or something, and like. People in the US got really scared that they were like swarms of them heading north or something. But as with all of these like panics, it kind of subsides without any real reason for like anyone to stop being scared. It's just people start being scared about the next thing that's on the news, don't they? So they forget about the killer bees that are probably on their way.
They're coming to you right now.
Yeah, exactly. And you won't even know because you'll be watching the World Cup. They'll be right outside the window. You won't be able to distinguish.
I don't want to knock bee intelligence or sort of say that they're more intelligent than they are. But
don't diss those bees.
Yeah. No, actually, no. I got that the wrong way around. I'm being pro bee here. Do you reckon they're all stealthing out at the World Cup, just waiting for a moment to pounce?
Well, maybe
the cover of horn.
Yeah.
Because
they'll bury themselves in the horns, So they get
propelled out like a bee.
Yeah. So when everyone goes, they won't think nothing of it until they look up.
Because like the world population of bees
just
has been going down, hasn't it, for ages? And
supposedly
people are really worried about it. Like it's still happening and stuff.
They're moving to another planet, according to Doctor Who, because they were scared of the.
That's right. Yeah. Was that why? Because I know it was in Doctor Who. What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, were they leaving a bit like
about the bees?
A bit like the dolphins in So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, where they knew that the Earth was going to get blown up, so they left.
Yeah. So they left.
Like, bye guys. Yeah. Clever bastards. So.
Yeah, we've actually used about half the time, so we should move on away from it.
I know. I'm conscious of this. Okay. I'm going to ask Zac what he's been playing. There you go.
Yes.
What have you been playing, man?
First of all,
get ready for some serious Eve.
Yeah. First of all, get Eve out of the way.
Okay, let's do that.
The second half of the ridiculous patch
has come out. The actual patch has come out at long last.
The actual
How have you been playing it then on a Mac or something?
Yes, on the Mac.
Okay.
It works. It actually works really well, surprisingly, compared to some other things, which I'll come on to. But yeah, so the Eve planetary interaction shit has happened, and the trouble with it is it's quite interesting for like an hour, and then once you've set everything up, it's like, now I just come back every 24 hours to set everything going again.
Okay.
Because it's like, in the first, like, when you're actually sort of doing it initially, you're like planning out where to put your shit to minimize the distance between your stuff, because the distance uses like the power grid of your command center or whatever, so you have to try and conserve it. So obviously you're like trying to see where the good resources overlap, so you can put things close together and build the most efficient system. That's like the interesting part. But then once you've set that up, you're just like, well, now every 24 hours I'll just come back and turn the mines back on again.
So every literal 24 hours in real time, you have to travel back to these things to turn them on?
You don't actually have to travel back to them, because you can do that remotely.
Oh,
but if you want to pick up the products, you have to go to the actual planet.
But you have to be in the game to like remind the miners to keep mining?
Well, yeah, it's kind of dumb. The way it's described is like
work bitches, bringing them up every day.
It's described as like you scan for a resource deposit, and then you find one, and then it takes so long to mine out the deposit, and then once it's mined out, you have to rescan for another deposit. But for some reason, that doesn't require you to move the extractors around or anything. It's just
right.
Like, there's infinite shit down here, but we can only mine this much of it at once, and then we have to have a break.
Okay, and every time they have a coffee break after you have to like prod them again to get them to start scanning again.
Yeah. They're the worst fucking workers in the world.
But presumably they don't get paid much.
Can you use like you get those resources that you can carry around in your cargo hold, like exotic dancers and passengers and stuff? Can you just drop them up in your factories? Slave labour.
Unfortunately, I don't think it would detect that. You probably actually can import them to the planet, but I don't think you'd be able to do anything with them once they are there.
That's a shame we can't conscript
maybe if you gave your workers some exotic dancers, they'll when they're on one of their extremely long breaks, they'll party a bit harder.
I think that is one of the.
They'll be more relaxed and do better mining.
I think it is one of the actual literal construction components in like Galent like station towers. You require exotic dancers as part of their production, because like the Armar towers require slaves because they're like the slave holding race,
right?
And then the Galent are like the French. They are literally the French. They're like the French liberal society, so they require exotic dancers in their production.
So you can't build any station unless it has
any Galent station.
Strip club.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
That's amazing.
And you're Galent, aren't you?
Yeah, space French.
So what about the other races? Do the other two races, or have many other races, or have like any crazy like vices?
Well, I mean, the Amar have their slaves because they were enslaved. That's their thing. They're religious and they enslave people.
Sure, cheap hookers.
Yeah. But they don't like hookers, though.
No.
Because they're religious.
Okay. But they don't mind slaves, but...
Yeah.
Right.
They have crazy fucked up values. And then I can't remember what the other two specific resource for those towers would have been, because the Minotaur are like, they're freed slaves, because they broke out from under the Armar, and they make shit out of junk. So I don't know, it's probably like a big pile of scrap.
Okay.
And then the Caldari are just like corporate, so I don't know what they want, probably a bunch of TVs or something. I'm just trying to guess from what there is in the game.
You buy like
there weren't any
like,
space French in Freelancer, were there? There was sort of space American. Space
They were all space Americans. Oh,
no,
yeah,
it was space German.
Space Germans, space English,
space Chinese,
Japanese.
wasn't there?
Oh, space Japanese, that's right, yeah.
But that was because that was based on the original 4 colony ships. And then the pirates were space Spanish or something.
Yeah.
But
there was no space French in them.
They speak Spanish.
They do speak Spanish, it's true.
But yeah.
No space French. They must have merged with the space Germans at some point in the...
Presumably. But yeah, so now you can actually do shit on the planets in Eve. And the only thing... It's basically entirely pointless to do so at the moment, because the markets are totally fucked. Because basically...
We knew that was going to happen.
Really didn't plan ahead at all. Because it's like some of the items that you make out of stuff off planets used to be like items that were just sold for trade by the NPCs, where it was like you could just buy some of this shit, transport it somewhere else, and sell it for a bit more cash. That was how the NPC trade system used to work. But now, because they're using the planets, they've retardedly left in at least one combination where you can buy 2 cheap components off NPCs, import them to a planet, put them in a factory, combine them together, export the result, and then sell that result back to NPCs for more money than you paid for the cost of the inputs. So it's like free money.
And you could do that infinitely, can you?
Yeah, because the NPC orders never expire, and there's so you can buy an infinite amount of stuff off them. So it's like free money for everyone. Just get the shit in there and build some factories.
God, they probably should have. What, getting the free money?
Yes, I've only been. Unfortunately, by the time I realised this, I'd already set up my main character's planets, because you can only have 6 per character, but I haven't even got the skills for that, so I can only have 5. So I'd already set up my main character's 5 planets, because I'd been scouting around to see where the marginally more interesting planets were. But then, so I logged in with the other character on my account, who's called Dr. Nick, that you made ages ago.
I know that guy.
And I quickly gave him a couple of skills, and then used him to make some free money factories.
So, did you go back to that crazy planet yet?
I keep forgetting to actually look at its stats. I'm sure I've looked at it to see what resources are on it, but I didn't look at the stats specifically.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'll have to remember to look that one up.
Next week.
Yep. That will be a much shorter talk about Eve, though, now that the patches are done. Not much is going to change again unless they decide to do something ridiculous when they fix their stupid markets, like, I don't know, ban everyone or something.
So overall, this actual, in terms of like the game, apart from this messing everything up with the economy, like it's not actually that big a change to the game as almost we thought.
Well, not yet. I mean, obviously, when they do actually remove all those NPC orders that shouldn't have been left in, then it will actually become important.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying like you don't actually end up spending much game time on it, do you? Because once you set it up, you sort of just have to keep prodding it.
Well, yeah, I guess.
This is what we were talking about the other day. Is like it seems to be a lot of hype about something that you essentially do once and then will never happen again.
Yeah, I mean,
how is this going to work long term? I mean, is it going to be possible for these factories and stuff to get destroyed, or for them to move about? I mean, surely there's limited space for you to do this stuff, so eventually they'll run out of places you can build factories.
Well, the idea is eventually that this is all tie into the Dust 514 FPS thing that they're making, and that will be like how you attack installations by, in another game, attacking the installation in a sort of FPS shooter. I'm not sure how on earth they think that's going to work. And, I mean, I think it's fairly safe to say that this Dust 514 game is going to, like, people aren't going to play it for as long as people have played Eve, like 7 years. Don't think that's going to last quite as long. So I don't know what they're going to do when that tails off.
Well, they're going to have to give it, like, decent RPG hooks, aren't they?
Yeah. It's going to need some kind of...
I'm not convinced it's going to work on the consoles because of that. Because they'll need to do regular updates and keep it in line with the world.
Yeah, that could be a problem, especially with the Microsoft Live update thing, where they only let you do it every so often or whatever. It's limited.
Well, I don't think it's too limited. It's just that it has to go through a really rigorous QA system, so it slows down how often you can patch.
Yeah.
Not out of the ability to patch often, but just because of that.
Yes, it still doesn't seem like that. It just like doesn't seem like this whole idea is going to work. So if that doesn't work, I mean, there will be some way to interact with other people's stuff on planets. I think that's fairly safe to say, because at the moment you can see them, but it's just irrelevant. They don't interact with you at all, and you don't interact with them at all.
Right, they're just on the same planet, mining somewhere.
And and theoretically, if you put your extractors directly on top of each other, then that gives you like reduced output. But the planets are so huge, that's almost irrelevant again.
So you could sort of fight someone for a dense spot.
Yeah. If it was actually worth
like fighting. Transport Tycoon style almost, isn't it? Just bundle into that area as quickly as you can. So how does this work in low sec or no sec? Are there like ways where they can actually sort of beat each other up over this stuff? Or?
Well, if you're doing, if you've built like a launch pad on the planet, because if you have your command center on a planet, that can launch like a container directly into space, and then that just creates a bookmark for you.
Kitty wants to play PlayStation.
Yeah, apparently. Oh. It's going. Oh. Sorry, we're being entertained by cat momentarily. But yeah,
the cat's trying to tug on a PlayStation controller. It's like, I want to play with this.
So if you have your command center, it can launch a cannon into space, and that generates a bookmark for you to warp to. But if you're using, that's quite expensive. But then if you build a launch pad, doing the space launches is cheaper, but it only puts it into the customs office above the planet, and then everyone on the planet fires up into the same customs office. So that's like the point where everyone will see each other at the planet. So that's where you ambush people if you want to steal their shit, I presume. Like low sec or no sec.
Oh, right, so every planet only has one
customs office, yeah.
So there's no mechanics for stealing factories or anything?
No, there's literally no interaction actually on the planets at the moment.
That seems like something they're going to have to change.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a very unfinished thing at the moment. It's just like, this is the most basic. It's like there's no options. You can't have like build weird extractors. There's like only like one kind of extractor. Put that down.
If it took them this long to make this blooming patch, I mean, how long did it take them to make the game in the first place? For goodness sake, it's ridiculous.
Well, I mean,
like,
this patch
doesn't seem to add much, and like
this
we've been
patch
talking
has
about it for
theoretically
weeks.
been like a lot of work. I mean, it's like a whole new UI and models and everything.
I was about to say, yeah, the UI is actually not that bad. It's quite well thought out.
But it's like they've made all this stuff, but not actually very much content within it. But theoretically, it will be extended.
The other bit I thought was weird when Zach showed me this was that bits of they've obviously added bits of UI animation to try and make it fall in line with sort of Windows 7 in a way.
Yeah.
And so certain bits of the thing sort of fade in, bits open up, sort of progress bars sort of bounce onto the screen oddly, but they're all too slow. It's like you have to wait for things to happen.
Yeah, I found it really annoying very quickly. Where it's like when you want to restart your extractors and you're like, all you have to do is scan for a deposit and then select the deposit and then tell it to start extracting that. That takes too long because you're like, you click on it and then it does a scan, which has a little scan bar, and that's fair enough because that's like, obviously it takes some time to scan. But obviously every extractor takes exactly the same amount of time to scan, so that's almost irrelevant as a like, it's not balancing anything. It's just it's an unnecessary wait. And then once it's done the scan, it has to like fold out the little drop down box with the results, and that takes like another second and a half. It's like, this is just wasting my time. I could have done this in like 2 seconds if the option was just there immediately. I could click on it.
I'm sure they'll patch that because people will complain, won't they?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the animations themselves. It's just that they need to be quicker.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that does really annoy me. Little animations. That
I mean, as a guy who works in UI, they're cool, but completely not practical.
Yeah, exactly. So what else have you been playing then? I can't believe you had a chance to play these things. You've been on your Mac, on your dad's Mac, because your computer being dust.
Well, after The cat is jumping on me. After I done lots of Eve, I done it.
I done some Eve, and then I done it.
After I done some Eve,
and then I done a drawing.
They finally got round to releasing.
a piggy and a rabbit.
They finally got round to releasing Team Fortress 2 for Mac.
Oh yes.
So you got maybe I'll try that.
You got your headphones then?
No, because it's too poop to play.
Okay.
Wait, if you get the headphones on the
and
Mac
you don't get the
version
headphones.
you don't get them on the PC version.
You don't get it unless you buy it through a Mac.
Right, yeah.
Right, so it's
not if you already own it and then install it on the Mac and then open the game, you don't get them.
So basically, you'd have to buy the game again in order to get the item, which seems pointless.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, so it doesn't run good at all.
Although it is an iMac, so it's not a powerhouse.
Well, I mean, compared to how Eve runs, and with the graphics on Eve up to almost full, like higher than I had it running on my PC, that runs pretty good. And Portal runs pretty fine as well. There is a slight bit of stutter when you open a portal and you can see yourself. It obviously has problems with character models, because that's what slows it down the most in Team Fortress as well, as far as I can tell. Like, if you're just walking around an empty level, it's not bad. But as soon as you see another character, distinct drop in frame rate. The
characters are the most detailed part of the game, though.
Yeah.
That's true. That's odd, because it's quite a new Mac, and it's presumably got a decent graphics relatively in there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a GeForce something or other.
Yeah. And
Macs were never really designed for 3D prowess, though, were they?
Well, no, but we're talking a new computer compared to Zac's ancient broken 7-year-old thing,
so,
you know.
Well, does it run bad compared to the P4?
What Team Fortress?
Yeah.
Yes, it runs.
Really?
It runs too bad for me to play it easily. Like as soon as you look at a computer player, and because it's not just frames lagging, it's like the whole game starts jabbering, so you can't really aim or anything. It's just it doesn't seem like it's been very well done. But I mean, this may just be a special case on this one Mac. There may be some kind of Macs that run it well. I mean, presumably there must be, or otherwise they wouldn't have released it like this.
Yeah, Power Macs presumably.
I don't know. Do they still make Power Mac? Oh, they do, I guess.
Well,
but they're not.
I don't know.
They're not Power Macs.
They're not actually Power PC, are they anymore?
No, not in the traditional sense. Yeah, they're all x86 Intel, aren't they? Processor based.
It was always a bit of a weird phrase, wasn't it? Power PCs on a Mac, given Macs like intensity in which they don't want to call themselves PCs.
Even though they are PC, personal computers. They're just not IBM, whatever standard one.
Well, they're not Windows. Windows own PC now.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah.
But then the other thing that came when they updated for Mac, which I'm not sure is actually in the PC version because I haven't been able to see that, and Rob doesn't appear to have seen it either. But on the Mac at least, there appears to be like a new menu where they've sort of made it more iconic instead of the old Half-Life 2 style, here's a list of words on the left that you click. It's like, here's some snazzy buttons that you can push to open your various backpacks and shit, and here's a little pop-out that tells you about your recent achievements and such. It's very Mac-styled, which is why I wondered if it was on the Mac.
I haven't seen it, but it does sound cool.
Does it have that style on Portal as well, then?
No. That they haven't made anything specific for those, apparently.
It could be that they're just toying with new UI ideas on the Mac version, and that maybe they'll get ported to the PC.
I mean, we could.
Because I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, we need to start up the PC version probably after this podcast and see.
Yeah.
Have either of you tried the updated Half-Life 2? Like apparently they put all the episode 2 sort of graphics into.
Oh right, they moved it to that version of Source.
Yeah, that version of Source, so it's got the effects and the HDR and all that stuff into the original game.
Well,
of course, the textures and stuff are still the same, but they weren't that bad.
They were never that bad.
Yeah, exactly. So
it was in when Source came out, that was kind of its strength, was that the textures were fairly sharp.
Yeah, that is true. So add that together, you are improving a game.
I should have to poke you some more.
6 years old now, is it? Half-Life 2? It's pretty old now.
Pretty
still
old.
great.
Probably not quite that old, but
I think it's 2004. I'm not sure. Yeah.
It could be, actually. I don't know.
It's like disappeared.
No, I'm still here. I took the cap off me.
So this is the extent of your Mac gaming then? A bit of Eve, which works fine.
It's basically Eve and testing other things which don't work.
Have you been playing anything else?
Work?
Well, TF2.
Just TF2 and then Portal. Portal does work.
Yeah.
It's easily playable, and that works just fine.
I managed to get a friend of mine who owns a Mac to get Portal when it was free, so he says it works fine on his MacBook Pro. So
yes, and I mean, obviously, I could try a couple of other things, but at this point, I shouldn't need to, because shortly I should actually have a PC again, and I don't want to annoy my dad by installing shit on his hard disk, even though that's the classic where it's like, you can just delete it. it's only taking up like a couple of gigs of your 400 and something gigs free.
yeah. Not like the old days where you were like preserving it like terabytes. It's like crazy. So cheap.
I sort of wish. This is going to turn into a bit of an Apple PC flame war here, but I kind of wish Apple did more of their peripherals on their own, as in the iMac screen. I couldn't help but notice when seeing it at Zac's. It's obviously a stylish unit, but the screen itself is pretty damn good. And
they do their cinema displays. They're really expensive, but I think you can plug.
Yeah, really expensive. I relayed this to Zac because I got sort of interested in Apple peripherals because we have a I forget how big it is. It's pretty colossal Apple monitor at work, which has a resolution of over 2000 vertically.
Right.
Really ludicrously big thing.
Yeah.
But brilliant. Looked up the price. It's £1,500.
Yeah, they are. They're for
Insane.
people with more money than sense, really. Like, have you ever seen that photograph of Al Gore's office? He's got like 3 of them connected together. and like, it's not even like a really nice clean desk with like 3 huge monitors. It's like the 3 monitors are there, and it's just surrounded by like paper documents and books and crap everywhere. Like
discarded Twinkies.
Yeah, like they're right up against the edge of the desk, and he's obviously got this tiny little space where he's got a little keyboard and a mouse, and then he's got these huge monitors, because I think he's on the board of directors of Apple or something, because he's obviously some kind of... Like, he invented the internet, didn't he? So,
yeah,
that's what they say. Yeah. So, yeah, but that's always quite funny. But they're amazing and really expensive. But one thing, though, I can't stand the Apple keyboard or the mouse at all. I never liked the Mighty Mouse.
I've never
and there's
liked
there's a new mouse, which is the one which has like almost a touch surface on the thing. It
sounds interesting, but
yeah,
I can only imagine it can occasionally get it wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's that I'm used to my like Logitech mouse, but the profile of it is so low that it's really uncomfortable.
They're never
to use.
Comfortable, are they?
Yeah,
really
never comfortable.
It's the most uncomfortable flat thing ever, and like the keyboard, which is so
also
crap.
super flat.
Yeah, it's really flat.
Actually, I don't have so much of a problem with those because I'm using a laptop keyboard on my.
No, it's not.
Anyway,
it's not like it doesn't feel like a laptop keyboard.
Yeah,
I don't mind
I was having trouble typing on Rob's keyboard when I came here because I've been using the Mac one, and it's not that different. It's still flat, but those Mac keys are just weird.
I don't know. Yeah. I quite like them.
My main problem with the Mac, of course, is all the commands, all the shortcuts and commands and everything. It's just totally different. That will just screw you up for ages when you're using a Mac.
Well, I don't quite get how Mac users get so attached to the UI because it's just not intuitive in a lot of places. I mean, don't get me wrong. In a lot of places, the Mac UI is brilliant, but in some of the fundamental ways, it's just a pain in the arse. Like the menu bar and shortcut keys. How sometimes, more often than not, you have to hold like 3 keys at a time to do simple shortcuts. In some things, it's just really, really irritating to use.
Like the
and Windows 7 has kind of up the ante, hasn't it, with shortcuts? It's like some nice ones.
I mean, it's bad enough that I would say I love Apple hardware, and a lot of their design. But if I wanted a laptop, I'd buy a MacBook Pro and put Windows 7 on it.
Yeah, I know.
The 2 things that
probably run better.
The 2 things that annoyed me the most about Mac, just because I'd come from PC straight to Mac and was not used to the key, button combos or whatever, the two ones that I found most annoying was the fact that you don't use control on the Mac, you now use command. So it's like, instead of control V, you're pressing command V. It's like, it's a different button in a slightly different place, and it's not even where control is on a keyboard, because that's where function is. It's like,
Which one's the command button? Is that the one with that square and the four rings around it?
Yeah, the circular wiggle thing.
That's where the Alt is, isn't it? Or near the Alt?
Yeah, you from spacebar it goes Command, Alt, Control, Function.
That's right.
You need all those buttons.
You just said for making ridiculous button combos.
Well, yeah, I mean, we get the Windows key, which is rarely used, and we get along just fine.
And then the other thing that I found incredibly annoying for Windows to Mac controls was the fact that when I was using Safari to do it,
there's the Apple key as well, isn't there? Or is that function?
I don't know. I haven't noticed. The other thing that annoyed me was when I was using Safari to look on the internet. Middle mouse button, of course, in Mac just brings up your widgets or whatever.
Oh no!
Strange.
Just pops them up over the desktop. I can't press middle mouse button to open a new tab.
Because I use middle mouse button constantly on the internet.
It's like every link, you just middle mouse button for a new tab.
Yeah,
I didn't know you could do that.
It's like.
And I right click and just go open a new tab. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I have to do on the Mac now, and it's like, this is so less convenient.
That's no different for me because I still didn't know it
because Rob didn't know.
How long have you been doing that? Right clicking and opening new tab. Yeah, because I must do that.
Tab browsing existing.
And I have mine set up in my Firefox, which is the main reason I can't use other browsers with this TabMix Plus extension thing. Browsers, yeah. So that's I middle click on a link to open it in a new tab, right? You middle click on a tab to at the top to close it, right? And I also have a thing where if I using this extension, where if I middle click on the empty part of the tab bar, it'll open the previously closed tabs. So if I accidentally close them, I can always... And I'm constantly... Because I'm I don't know, I'm always cleaning up after myself or whatever, so I'm constantly closing stuff, so that I have a clean area. Yeah, and then I realised that I really needed that back, so it's really easy with this. You just go, it's back.
Yeah, I do that with Chrome as well. Chrome has the ability of, if you close it down, you get your... on the home screen in Chrome, you get recently closed tab list. You close a load at a time, which you would do if you click the X on the window. You just go, choose all those tabs again.
Yeah, it's
nice.
good. Yeah, that sort of thing is really helpful. Yeah. Be careful with that middle mouse button, though. If you're on Wikipedia, you could be there for days. It's like,
Yeah, that is the classic problem. Because you're reading a page and it's there's links in the text, and then by the time you've reached the bottom of the page, you've opened 3 more pages.
Yeah, you've got 3 more things to start, and they've all got links in them as well. Yeah, it gets ridiculous. Have you ever been on that TV trope site, Zach?
Yeah.
Oh, you could spend forever on there. Sorry?
I don't think I've ever been on a real sort of...
I edited TV tropes.
Did you? What for?
Putting references to Hostile Waters into the gaming ones.
Oh, brilliant.
This is a game that follows this example or whatever. And I can type about a game that no one else knows about. Yes, I'm contributing.
and it's an awesome game. Yeah. So what trope did you say was embodied by Hostile Waters? I'll have to look that up now.
Remember.
It was contributing.
I can't remember what it was.
That wasn't bad, actually. Props to you there, Rob.
In terms of punnage.
Yeah, that was okay.
Get him the beer, right?
Yes, it was.
That's true.
Right.
So is that the extent of your gaming then? Or
well,
this week?
I had been using the Wii at home somewhat.
Oh yeah.
To basically play games to where I'd already played them. It's I played Super Paper Mario, got to exactly the same point I already had got to on Rob's Wii, and then stopped playing that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then started up Mario Galaxy 1, and I've just been going through that again. Although that's slightly more interesting because I hadn't played that nearly as much, and it's because obviously in Mario, in Super Paper Mario, it's the level where it's just you go through it. And it's not anything complicated. Whereas in Galaxy, it's at least a bit more of a challenge. Because Super Paper Mario is a bit easy, I'd say.
Are you
really boring?
Yeah.
I think I got less far
Well,
I think I didn't get as far as you did, and I still sort of found it a bit tedious.
The trouble with Super Paper Mario is they didn't really make it as awesome as it should have been, because it should have just been a straight sort of Mario game, but with the pointless flipping to 3D element, which was basically what they did in the first level. But then from then on, they just did random gimmicks where it's like, in this level, you're going to go into this house and then run on a treadmill and then hack a safe.
Ages.
It's like, this is not a Mario game any longer. This is a weird, skanky RPG with not very much gameplay in it.
Yeah.
And it had a problem of following on from what was actually a really cool RPG.
Yeah.
Mario 2.
Thousand Year Door was totally awesome.
Yeah, it was a great game.
And obviously in Super Paper Mario, you don't get the whole... Because in Thousand Year Door, it was like RPG combat, which a lot of people didn't like, but it was kind of awesomely... It was nicely done.
It was well done, wasn't it? Because you had to be involved in it more than you do.
And you could do like the stylish moves or whatever, where it's like
it was
tight
really
button pushes to make it more awesome.
That was one of the best games on the GameCube, I'd say.
Yeah, it was very good.
But then obviously in Super Paper Mario, you don't get that any longer. But it's sort of weird because it's like it goes back to old school Mario style where you just jump on everything, but that's not actually good any longer because it's not in a game where that is an essential mechanic really. So like you go through the level, you don't have to get enemies.
I guess now you've got new Super Mario Brothers Wii for that. Like that's what.
Which I do still want to play at some point. Actually, I do think it would be awesome.
Yeah, maybe. But now I've been playing Mario
mainly
Galaxy
for
1 again. It's like, oh no, Mario Galaxy 2? Shit. I might have to get that at some point.
I think you may. Because people are going crazy over that game, seriously. They're saying it's the best Mario game ever.
Has it actually come out yet?
It came out on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or is it the 16th?
I don't know, because I looked, sure, because I was in Asda and there was empty shelves. So
when I looked in town, like I looked at it wasn't released, and I looked at this was a while back, and I saw the release date, and it seemed quite far off, and I was like, oh, that's a bit odd. Maybe it's delayed in Europe compared to America or something.
Well, localization as usual.
No, maybe.
Nintendo are very Nintendo are very slow, careful with that now, aren't they? Even more than they used to be.
They don't want to have any trains going spastic.
Yeah, they don't want the Mario 4 incident. Mario Party 8 incident, not Mario 4.
Mario 4? Where'd that come from?
I don't know.
What happened in Mario Party 8?
In Mario Party 8, there's one of the boards where there's a Magi Koopa basically who one of the boards is a train, and you'd land on one of the green spaces or happening squares, and it would
shuffle
the train around. So the carriages would be in different positions. And obviously, as with everything in Mario Party, there's a shit ton of text to wade through before you get to what's supposed to happen. And and the Magic Cooper described time to do something drastic. Let's turn this train spastic or something. Which in American it doesn't mean it isn't too bad because it just means stupid to them.
Okay,
they have retard.
It means cerebral palsy, right?
Okay. Yeah, for us it means disability.
Yeah.
Okay. So they recalled all the discs from stores to change this one word, which took months. I'm not going to lie to you. It took months for them to re-release the game with this one word changed, and they changed it to erratic, which still doesn't work that well. It's like, let's do something drastic. Let's turn this train erratic.
That's probably the best rhyme they could come up with.
Yeah.
Like, they probably had to come up with something.
They could have changed the whole text.
But then that would have taken really long.
Oh yeah, then it would have taken a year.
Yeah. They probably did. That's probably the quickest they could possibly fix something and get it out and, press it all again and get it out to retailers and repackage it and all that stuff.
So now they have to be extra careful with their translations in case they accidentally put some stupid word in, which is bad.
Just don't say spastic.
Yeah, just don't say something like that. Seems fair enough. So, yeah, I hope you do get that, and because I'd quite like to play it at some point as well. Although I haven't played the original either, so
Rob hasn't played sufficient of the original.
No, I didn't finish the first one.
No, I didn't full finish the first one.
I don't think I've ever finished a game of that type. I get a bit disinterested with them. Sort of half, or in the case of Super Mario 64, I haven't finished that. I got most of the way through it and then got a bit bored. Just found some of the later levels a bit irritating.
Well, yeah, they were, but they were meant to be challenging.
Well, but they could be challenging and interesting. Well, it's hard to describe. They wound me up more than I was enjoying the game.
I really like Mario 64, but it's a long time ago I played it.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant, but it's just never finished it. I will do it at some point.
Because Mario Galaxy, the first one, has got like the hub system, sort of a bit like the castle, isn't it? Yeah. Except it's in space or whatever. But like apparently Mario Galaxy 2 is basically just a straightforward sort of Super Mario Brothers 3 style. Yeah,
well, they've nicked, it's more from New Super Mario Brothers, that sort of map system.
Yeah,
the sort of path.
Yeah. So maybe that will help with the progression. No.
Not that necessarily. That's fine. That's one of those things that they put in for like people who aren't so good at games. Like basically not us.
Right. Yeah.
It's like when I've been going through Mario Galaxy, it's just like you do every single star in order because
of course
they're not. You can just do them. Whereas some people, it's like this star might be too difficult, so you can skip that and go on to a different one.
Oh man, I saw this amazing YouTube video of this meta game of these Japanese gamers playing Mario 64, and they developed this game whereby they were on like the ice level. I think it's like the 3rd level or something.
Yeah.
With the slides and stuff and the penguin at the bottom.
Yeah.
And they were hitting a block and getting a green that level, a green 1-up mushroom to follow them, right?
Yeah.
But they were running away from it before it could catch them, right? And their job was to get all 8 of the red coins, before the 1-up mushroom got to them. And the thing is, that thing will chase you forever, and it will go through walls, and it's faster than you. So I think the only way you can get away from it is to use the long jump thing. And also, what they did was they went through, at the bottom of that level, there's a teleport that takes you back to the top.
Yeah.
So what they'd do is they'd activate it. They'd run as fast as they could over to the teleport and go through it, and then start going down and collecting the coins. But occasionally it would just come through a wall towards them, and they you could hear their commentary, and it was just so hilarious. They were all talking Japanese, so you could tell what they were saying, but they were like, "Oh God!" It's coming at them. It's the funniest thing. Oh yeah. So check that one out. It's so funny. It's so much scarier than any villain could possibly be in the game. Oh my God! It's the 1-up mushroom. No. Oh dear. There was this great bit. They were they're running around at the bottom of the level trying to avoid it, and one of them's like, it's translated or something, and it's like, quick, talk to the penguin, the crying penguin at the bottom, the big one or whatever. It's like, talk to the penguin, and then the thing will disappear. Talk to the penguin, and he talks to it. He manages to just talk to it. It's like, is it going to disappear? And then dialogue games, and he just goes straight into him and gives him the 1-up, and he's like, oh no, it didn't disappear at all. It just stopped while he was talking to the penguin, and then he carried on straight into him. Yes, so Mario. I hope there's some fun.
That about covers what I've been saying then. 2 different Mario games on the Wii. Neither of which I got round to finishing. I really should finish Super Paper Mario, because I've got to basically literally the same point on the save that I have on Rob's Wii and the one at home now. And then just sort of was like, there. It's because it's the classic problem where I've got the door to the last level, so it's like, go and do the last level, the last boss. But then it's like, but there's side quests.
Yeah.
I could go off and find random loot and shit.
You being all completionist about what is not that great a game, really, ultimately.
Yeah.
That's annoying when that happens.
I've decided I can no longer be completionist about a Final Fantasy game. I'm going to finish one.
Really? You could just run through
to be honest, I'll probably finish Lost Odyssey first, because it's an easy grasp.
Yeah.
I'm near the end of that. But mainly because the reason why I say this is because my brother's recently started playing Final Fantasy 13. And it actually looks pretty good, I have to say. The combat looks interesting. They've mixed it up in a way that doesn't seem bad, as far as I can tell. You don't really have much control of the individual commands that they give out, or at least you don't get the time to do that. So you just change the stance they're in, and that affects the style of attack they use. And there's sort of certain sequences you can pick from, as opposed to do an attack now, please. You sort of choose, okay, now do this style of attack for so long, and apparently it makes the boss fights a bit more interesting, because you have to mix up your strategy mid-fight quite often. Things like that. But it looks pretty good. Graphically, it looked good. even on the Xbox, which is supposedly not running at 720. But
the videos look terrible. That's what everyone said, wasn't it?
Yeah, the video quality.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I didn't get to see a sequence when I was overlooking in Rick's, mainly because I don't want to spend too much time in Rick's room. But it's yeah. So I've seen side by side shots of the video, and it didn't look great on Xbox. Lots of bad compression artifacts.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the compression to get it on the discs, isn't it?
Well, it's a ridiculous figure, though, isn't it? The PlayStation 3 version has over 32 gigs of HD video.
Oh yeah, it's stupid. I mean,
it's crazy amount.
Why? It's
so
like,
I've said to myself, well, if I'm going to play it, I might as well play the PS3 version.
Definitely, yeah. I think that makes sense. It's a PlayStation game. Final Fantasy is PlayStation, is it, these days?
And it gives me actually something I'm going to buy for the PlayStation. Which...
Oh, why are you running out again? Because there was a bit of a glut there where there were some really good ones, weren't there?
I still only own 3 PlayStation 3 games, 4 if you include Wipeout HD. Oh no, 5 if you include Stardust, which is not really
much of a game.
No, it's more.
So
than
what have you got? You got Uncharted, Killzone 2, and Uncharted 2,
and LBP.
Oh, and Little Big Planet, yeah. And even that wasn't like. I mean, people raved about that, but have you gone back in and looked at the levels people have made?
We've done that a few times, haven't we?
Yeah, but all we do is play the student exploding.
Yeah, some of the funniest levels are the ones where they just drop bombs on you from the sky, and the idea is that you have to survive. The landscape destroys because of the bombs.
Yeah.
And eventually they start carving holes in the ground, and the idea is you have to get to the bottom of these wells without getting exploded or trapped or crushed by bits of landscape. And some of them are really good because they're really fucking hard. So me and Zach would attempt these ones to see if we could actually do them. I've played a few decent levels that people have come up with online.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'd ever have the time, because what I'd want to do with it, like one of the ideas I've wanted to do with the level editor was to create like a base jumpers clone, but you just don't get that level of control for falling through the sky. Although I saw some interesting experiments with balloons where you'd had to be holding onto balloons, but it wasn't totally gravity defying, so you could jump and stuff with low gravity and stuff. But I couldn't figure out. I haven't really thought of a way it would be possible to do a base jumpers game because I'd really like to remake that. Maybe LBP 2 will give you slightly better control in the ability that you could make like different control schemes, stuff like that. That'd be nice.
Have they announced a sequel then?
Yeah, LBP 2 is pretty much confirmed.
Oh, okay.
It's not been officially confirmed, but there have been stupid drops. Like apparently one of the music bands signed to the game kind of dropped it on their website. That it's like, yes, we've been signed for Little Big Planet 2.
It'll be on
before it had been properly announced that the game exists.
It'll be at E3, I imagine, which is next week. So that's exciting.
I don't know.
Cool.
It's hard to see what they can do to LBP. They're going to have to mix it up quite significantly. Because the problem with it is that it was an awesome framework, but they pretty much covered a lot of the bases at first. My thing was that maybe they need to add these different control schemes so you can make objects that behave differently. But
just even the player control, they need like more than one set of control. There's like pro mode where you get more control or something.
Yeah,
the hardcore mode.
Because some of the automatic, they said this from the start, but some of the automatic plane switching where you move from foreground to background was a bit twitchy.
Yeah,
slightly bad. Yeah,
it's not bad, but it's occasionally gets it wrong. Or to the point where if you want to drop down to a lower platform or something, and there's a gap in between the platforms and stuff, getting it to go in the plane to drop down or for you to fall through certain bits of terrain just doesn't work. And
I remember trying it. So is that 3 games for PS3? There are. I'm sure there's some.
I've had this I've had this box like over a year and a half now.
Perhaps you should pick up Infamous on like cheap. That might be quite good. That's supposed to be quite good.
It's supposed to be good, but I've never been particularly interested in it.
I guess you got Crackdown 2 coming out now, or whatever.
I'm not particularly interested in that either.
No. That's all platforms, I imagine, as well, isn't it?
Although my brother raves about the first game, said it was great fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not my kind of game, really. It's too stupid for me. I don't know. I mean, I quite like collecting the orbs. That was fun. Like, I played the demo of it and just going around collecting orbs. And I think that's a heavy focus of the sequel as well. Apparently, like, they've made it into more of a game because some of the orbs, like, run away from you and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Weird stuff like that, yeah. So, I think they kind of acknowledged that was free running over the city, or you can't really call it free running. Like Assassin's Creed is kind of free running. This is just sort of mental jumping craziness.
Yeah, being able to run and jump super high.
Super jumping, yeah. But it was fun, I have to admit. But
I was going to ask you, actually, speaking of open world gaming, have you seen the glitch videos online for Red Dead Redemption?
I've seen a collection of them. I don't know if there's any new ones.
Brilliant.
I've seen like the horse ladies and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
The thing is, like, I should probably talk about this a little bit, but like when I was playing through the game, like I never came across a glitch that actually affected my enjoyment of the game negatively. I have to say, like there was never any like problem in a mission or something that any open world jank that like messed me up and irritated me. Or I have inevitably seen weird shit. Okay, but it's always just been kind of hilarious, and I've heard people say that like that stuff sort of improves the game. Because I mean,
well, I wouldn't say it's an improvement, but it's just funny. Isn't
it's
it?
just so funny.
Like, it's not. They're not game breaking. They're just weird.
There's never anything that breaks. One time I had the game after a cutscene just not load. It just went black, and I had to reset. That's happened once.
No, that's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. That's the one thing that's ever happened bad with Red Dead. I think my console might have overheated or something because it was really hot. Yeah, the stuff is just... I mean, I've never seen anything as hilarious as, like... I've seen videos online of, like, people flying through the air like birds.
That's brilliant, that one.
It's just insane. Especially the way they flap their arms like wings. Like, I don't know how that... Yeah, but I've never seen anything like that. What you do get sometimes is like when things get stuck, sometimes things will get stuck in the floor, very occasionally, or they'll get stuck in walls or something. And what they tend to work their way out quite quickly. But what will happen is you'll get the collision sound effect over and over again. Like it sounds really weird and artificial because it's like yeah. You'll get and sometimes you don't even have to see the open world jank because you can hear it. Like it's out in the street and something is juddering against something else. But yeah, I hadn't got because in the Yahtzee review, he's talking about like your character skating along the ground or something. I've never seen anything like that. But the only stuff I've seen has always been quite funny, but never as funny as the stuff other people have found.
What else have you seen? Because the compilation video you can see on YouTube has some brilliant stuff, like flying deer.
No, nothing like that. I've never seen that.
One. There was one where one of the NPCs in a mission got replaced by a dog.
That's amazing.
His animation was great because he still had the leg animation on the back legs, but the arm animation was on the front legs, so it looked really weird moving along.
I'll tell you one thing I did see the other day was like sometimes you get like in Thieves Landing especially because it's full of like thieves and cutthroats and stuff. You sometimes get guys like carrying off women who are tied up on their back, and so the guy's standing up and he's running along and he's got the woman over his shoulder, right, and he's running away and you have to stop them. But I think what happened, I was only passing, but the woman was standing up instead of being in her normal, so she was standing in midair like over him, and it just looked really bizarre. It was so funny. Yeah, I don't know. That was really
apparently there are some ones where you can there was another glitch in a similar sort of way where you can have guys tied up on the back of your horse.
Yeah.
Where you could leave your horse somewhere with no one on the back and then whistle him from somewhere else, and occasionally there'd be a bloke on the back of it.
Your horse has rustled someone.
Yeah, he's been vigilanteing while you've not been looking.
Okay, I've not seen that. That's quite funny though. Like I'm sure that kind of weird. I have seen weird stuff because it is basically inevitable because you end up playing a lot of it, and then I've played 35 hours of it or whatever. And
the Cougar Man.
You do see some stuff, but I've not seen anything that bizarre. Unfortunately,
basically, our theory is that it seems to be that probably because of the GTA engine, and that we were talking about it before, how you occasionally get. As soon as you find a rare car, there's tons of them,
it loads into
because
memory.
It loads them in. We reckon sometimes it does the same thing with like the animals in the game, and that it will load more of them in depending on the area you are. But sometimes it just because it has a human model in memory, it replaces birds with humans. Or weirdly, that seems to be the thing. It seems to be most of the time it replaces them with men. Like the Cougar Man's really funny. It just sort of shuffles along the floor, going blah, blah, blah,
blah. Yeah. That kind of thing, because cougars are quite rare. So if you encounter a rare cougar man, that must be quite scary.
a lot of these YouTube clips seem to be coming from the same guys, which means it could probably all happen to them. And some of them, they go, within minutes of recording the last one, this has happened.
I don't know how they're managing it, because I saw some weird... They were the ones who brought out the first one, which was like the horse that was like flying into the cart that was flying into the sky, and it like went over the railroad tracks, and we're hoping for a train to come along. But the thing is, there's only a few trains, so if you just hang out on the railroad tracks, as they're known in America, the railway, you could wait for quite a long time and not get run over. Like there's a secret achievement which I only just found out about because it's secret, you can't tell what it is, but it's dastardly, and you have to find a woman and tie her up and then leave her on the tracks.
Oh yeah, classic. Do you get this? Do you get some guy going?
I think you probably should, as the train approaches, something like that. But yeah, you get. I
should probably say that joke is copyright Dara O'Brien.
Exactly, but yeah. So I've been playing that a little bit just to finish up and get the 100% achievement, which I'm nearly at. I need to get. Because there's various things you need to do, and like some of them aren't like the stat screens are very good. They tell you all kinds of stuff, but they don't tell you exactly what you're missing to get the 100%. But if you log into the Rockstar Games social club thing and you connect that, like make a profile on that and connect that with your console, it'll give you like a checklist. But I was having trouble getting them to sync up because I can't get my console and my PC online at the same time because of this Hall's internet thing. So, but I've managed to get it to sync now, and there's only a few things I need to do. Like, there are a couple of locations that I apparently hadn't visited on the map, even though I completed the game. There were about 5. So I went over and just said hi to those, and they appeared on my map. And and now I need to. The last thing I've got to do is like the bounty missions where you have to go and get the bounty for the not missions, but the bounty. You can just pick up wanted posters and go and get people. Dead or alive. You have to do all 20 of the locations for those, but luckily they cycle, so if you do one, then the next time it's not a random location, it's the next one that you haven't done, I think. So all you have to do is have done basically 20 of these bounty missions, but you have to have done 8 of them in the first area, 8 of them in Mexico, and 4 of them in the last, because that's where the locations are. But so all I have to do is that. But like the ending of the story kind of discouraged me from going back, and without giving it away, kind of discouraged me from going back into the game for a while. So I've only just sort of come back into it, and it's a really good ending. You have to play it; it's brilliant.
Yeah, you said that before.
Yeah, but you'll know why. It's kind of a bit odd going back into it afterwards. I mean, you can absolutely you can go into it after the story, and
but you mean going back into it means it doesn't really fit the story in that sense?
No, it does. No, it does fit the story. Which is quite unusual. Most games, it seems a bit odd.
I think I've got
going
this
back
one
into
peg.
The game.
Everyone
afterwards. Yeah, but you can go straight back into it, which is a bit odd if people die and then they're there again, which happens in some games, doesn't it? It's like you can just carry on in this sort of limbo world, which doesn't really make any sense, can't you? But yeah, it's not like that. It's got all explanations and stuff, but it's a bit odd. But yeah, so I've been doing that, and not much else. I haven't really been playing that many games. I played the demo of Split Second, like you played that, didn't you?
Yeah. We played the PS3 version.
Yeah, it's quite fun. I mean, I like the I kind of like surviving like the enemies' attacks more than I like dropping things on the enemies. It's like when you,
I know.
When you kind of fly through a load of crap that's like falling around, like whole, huge airplanes smashing into the track and stuff. When you actually zoom through it, it's really cool. And I don't know, the game obviously kind of slightly assists you with it or something, which is good, because you'll squeeze through small gaps of everything exploding. It's really satisfying. But then actually dropping stuff on other people, I haven't quite got the grits with it. Like, but I don't know. It doesn't seem as satisfying as I thought, because sometimes I'm going along and I think, right, I need a boost now, and I like press A, and of course nothing happens because you need the A and B are the buttons to drop. So this isn't Burnout. I have to keep reminding myself I'm not playing Burnout here. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm worried it'll get a bit tedious quite quickly. But...
Yeah, I think I'd rather buy, if I had a choice between that and Blur, I think I'd go for Blur just because...
Definitely. Although they do say that Blur has terrible structure in what I've seen. It's like, it's a good game, like a good mechanical game, but in terms of how you actually play, progress is pretty awful.
Yeah. But I think my focus on Blur would probably be, I don't know when we'd get the opportunity to play, but it is all kind of about the multiplayer, and it'd be just about
definitely. I'd say it's... Although it has a fairly comprehensive single-player play style, the whole game is seemingly, the mechanic of it has been built for multiplayer. So
whereas like Split Second, like I'd feel like I got good at it, but for no real reason, Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking on that note, Burnout Paradise is still something I want to visit at some point, just to see if it is actually as crap as the demo made it seem.
It's not. Apparently, it's not nearly as bad as that. But like, people really liked it, and everyone hated the demo, and then people really liked the game, and like. But I rented the game for a short time. I didn't get much of a chance to play it before I had to send it back to get something else. But I still didn't like it because it was like, it was hard to tell where you. Like the tracks were really wide. Well, they weren't tracks, obviously, because you're in this city, and it has this kind of turn left because you can go anywhere you want. It's like Midtown Madness 1. You can go any route you want to get to the
routes.
Yeah, exactly. But I find it really hard to know when to turn or something. Like it's supposed to tell you, but I don't know. For me, it needed a better system of because it's quite because you're going so fast.
Did you find that, and I got this from the demo as well, do you find that, during the races, everyone splits up too much, so you don't get any of the takedowniness that
I definitely noticed
that. So great.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. Like, for me, like, Burnout 3 was the highlight of the series, definitely. So
I'm sure we've talked about this before, but I prefer the Xbox one, Burnout, whatever they called it, Burnout Revenge.
I thought
that was brilliant.
Well, I didn't like the traffic checking in that, and what else?
The traffic checking was retarded.
That was a bit weird.
And I wasn't so sure about the crash mode compared to. I mean, in some ways,
I don't know. The crash mode was good because it meant you didn't have in the previous one. You just like go for the parrot. If you don't get the parrot, you're screwed. Whereas this one, there was actually a tactic to
that's true.
How you can cause the most damage, and a bit of luck.
Yeah. I guess
I quite liked it, and the online was good as well. Not that I played it that much, but it was well designed.
But to be honest, Revenge wasn't that different really from 3. In fact, it wasn't even released that much.
No,
later,
it wasn't. It was basically just an HD update, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really. Yeah,
but it was still good.
Because Revenge came out on PS2, didn't it, and the old consoles?
Yes, it did.
As well, yeah. And then
or was that the exclusive one? Because they did Domination as well, which was an old console exclusive in a way, if you see what I mean. They released it on Xbox and PS2, but they didn't release it on the new console.
I'm pretty sure Revenge was on the old consoles, like right at the tail end, and then it got like an update for the the 360.
Could well be. Sounds like it probably did.
Yeah. But anyway, so Paradise,
yeah. And it was a bit brown as well.
Yeah.
If you get time now.
Yeah, we're pushing time limits now.
Jiggle that cable.
My long range reach, because I haven't got a laptop with RDP on me today.
Okay.
I've got my headphone cable wrapped around the mouse on the computer so I can pull it to see what's happening. We've still got time, but I think we've hit that 2-hour mark that you wanted to keep it down to.
Oh, God.
So once again,
unless we want to go on for 15 minutes of jazz.
I don't mind going on. I thought I did play one thing though. One thing else.
One thing.
No, I don't know if that is the other thing I played. But I've done a sort of a Zac in playing a really up-to-date game. So I've played Homeworld 2 a little bit.
Man, cutting edge.
Yeah, cutting edge ancient PC game. So because I was looking around on the internet and there's a Battlestar mod for Homeworld 2. And it looked like it'd come quite a long way compared to the Battlestar mod for Free Space 2, which is basically abandoned now and was never really that great. But this looked like it actually makes more sense if you think about it to make a Battlestar mod for Homeworld because it's called Fleet Commander or something. And I installed it, but and then I realised that I was probably quite shit at the Homeworld 2, so I better play the actual game first so I know what the hell's going on. And so I haven't played any of the Battlestar mod yet. I've only played the actual original Homeworld 2 game. And I remember I've come across the same thing as when I first played it, in that although I've got past it, but the third level on that is really hard.
Is that the one where you have to protect the ship from the asteroids while it's flying through that, or is that free space?
That's free space. Yeah, that's free space.
That's like the third mission of free space, though, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's quite hard as well. Yeah, they're coming towards. Yeah, but yeah, Homeworld 2. The thing is, like, I've been trying to work out if this is how it was designed, or I don't know. But basically, the only real way to do it. This is only the third mission in the game, and like, although unfortunately I can't get the tutorial to work, because if I press the tutorial button on the home screen, it instantly crashes. So for no reason, so it's like, no, I'm not going to teach you anything. So, but the way to do it is to learn what happens in the mission and what all the triggers are for the enemies to spawn in, and then deliberately avoid them until you've got to the point where you can handle them in terms of resources. Yeah. So, and like, there's like, for example, there's like a resource field like of asteroids up, and it's like, and the game is literally telling you, build a mobile refinery, go over there and start harvesting it. But obviously the game is going to spawn in a whole bunch of enemies right there, you know, to kill, and you know that's going to happen after you played it and lost the first like time, obviously. And so, you know, just don't do what the game tells you, basically. And the other thing is, the thing that got me to solve it, the mission, is like, at first, like, the shipyard is being attacked by a bunch of enemies, and you go over there and stop them. But the key thing is to leave one of them alive and retreat, and just then you've got time to like mine and build up your forces while this one enemy keeps attacking the shipyard and then it's too pansy. You just have to. You have to wait.
That tactic works in several games along those lines, doesn't it? Whereas it's like, if you just leave one enemy that chips away at the thing, then you can have infinite time. I guess that I'm not sure if it applies any longer, but that always used to be how you do it in Eve. If you were mining in an asteroid belt, you just wait until one set of the enemies spawned in the belt and kill all of them apart from one, so you can tank it without any problem, and then just leave that one orbiting you, so no more would ever spawn.
I mean, it seemed like, I don't know if I'm just I think I am not very good at strategy games, and I don't play them very often, but it did seem like weirdly hard very very quickly. That, I don't know, you'll have to have a go, Zac, and maybe, you know, try it out and see if
Battlezone was the same sort of thing. Do you remember the remake of Battlezone?
Yeah, I know.
Because that was quite awesome cool concept.
Yeah.
You know, hover tanks and hover tanks that could jump, and base building from first person, and it all sort of worked until you got to like the second or third mission, and it got insanely hard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just really quickly, as soon as they launched an attack on your base, you had quite a bit of time to set up the base, which takes a bit of time in first person. But as soon as you felt like you were getting anywhere, this huge wave of enemies comes on you, and it's like, oh, well, I'm fucked. And it just got really hard really quickly.
It's in this Homeworld, like, it's an RTS, this space RTS thing, and it's got
Spartius.
Yeah, because it looks really cool. If nothing's going on and you can actually watch your fighters engaging enemy fighters, it looks really cool. But in practice, you have to know what's going on. So you spend it zoomed out, looking at very small green blobs attacking very small red blobs, obviously. And
worse if you're playing Supreme Commander,
zoom out far enough for icon mode.
Exactly, but you've also got the additional complexity of the sort of different planes in space, because everything kind of takes place on one plane, but you can move up and down relative to that plane. So sometimes so if you're zoomed in, sometimes it's difficult to see stuff because you need to move to the plane of the object you're looking at by like selecting it and then focusing on it, and then you can be in the wrong. And then if you move around, you lose focus on the object, but you're still in that vertical plane. Right. So. Do you see what I mean? And sometimes you want to order a unit to move up in the vertical plane to like go up to some asteroid. Sometimes, like with the resource, there's an asteroid field that's slightly above the plane of the level. You could click on the resource harvester guys and just click on the asteroids, and they'll go up towards it. But if you want to send some guys up to guard them, then you can't just click on the asteroids because they're not a target for them. You want to just send a move order, go to the asteroid field. You have to kind of click. It's got kind of lines that point down from the asteroids, like within the UI, that'll coincide with the plane of the actual level, the standard plane. so you can kind of see where they are there. So you kind of click and you say move to here, and then you have to hold down shift to move in the vertical. And it's quite hard to see and do, and just generally really quite difficult. And that is also compounded if you're trying to set waypoints, because you've got to set multiple of these things at different. I don't know, it's a nightmare. And the thing is, like with all strategy games, it's got the RTSs. It's got the groups thing, where you control. Control on the buttons, and that's on the UI. It's obviously the main way to play the game, to have these control groups, and everything is like rock paper scissors. So you've got fighters, bombers, corvettes, and capital ships, and they're all rock paper scissors style. But and you have these.
They all just looked like rock paper scissors.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, that's one thing. Is when you have the units selected, like they come up at the bottom of the screen, but they're like really abstract representations of the ships. They're like diagrams, and they don't look that different from each other. And it's hard to tell at a glance whether you've selected bombers or fighters or what, because they just look like spaceships, So, there's no real way of knowing. And, so you've got the control groups. And what ultimately what you're going to end up doing is assigning your fighters to group 1, your bombers to group 2. But of course, when you build them, they trickle out. So every time one of them gets built, you have to assign it to the group, right? Just to reinforce the group or whatever.
Right.
You see what I mean? And you can't get it to automatically put them into a group, when they get built. And also, you can't just press a button.
Games do that, do they?
Well, you used to do that on certain games where you could, if you made the group the factory, then any unit that came out of that factory would gain that group. I think that was in Supreme Commander.
Yeah,
that's clever. Yeah, that's what it really needs, because you're doing it constantly, and there's no ability to select all fighters. You have to put the fighters into a group, and when you're doing it, you have to really do it rock paper scissors style for the best effect. There's corvettes coming, I shall send my anti-corvette frigates against them, for example. And but it gets confusing because you have to assign the groups, and then you have to remember what they are, because every time you press 1, it says Group 1 reporting or whatever, and then it has a bunch of abstract pictures of spaceships at the bottom, and you're like, I have to remember that's my fighters. You can't just press a button and go fighters here and then send them off to. So you have to remember to keep reinforcing the groups with everything that's been built new, and you have to. It's a nightmare trying to do that, and so you spend half your time trying to get things into the right, organization, and you don't have time. That's that's the thing about leaving that one enemy attacking that thing for ages, is you just don't have time to do the little micromanagement that you really need to do in order to get on.
I'd rather blow shit up than as you say, become space manager. I'm the logistics guy.
Space select
administrator.
Space, and then it ends up in a big mash anyway, because you think. Because you end up just throwing everything, which is sometimes it's more effective to just throw everything at a target than it is to use the actual, scissors for the paper. You think, okay, bombers for capital ships, but ultimately it's too much hassle. It's easier to just send everything at it because it actually kills it faster. I don't know.
Indeed.
I don't know. It's quite fun. I was after I got past that level, I was like, yes, you bastard! I gypped you and I finished you. I quite enjoyed the next 2 levels. It's quite, yeah.
I'm gonna have to call time warning on you. We've got about 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I guess
what do you mean, never mind? You covered most of Homeworld 2's
problems.
Shitness.
Yeah. So that's Homeworld 2. And that's all I've been playing. And next week we can talk about E3, I guess, because there's going to be a bunch of things
hells yeah
announced.
Next week, preferably, maybe we won't have so many games to talk about, as we keep saying every week.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks, so there probably should have been.
Yeah, that's true. Have you heard the rumours about
how we played Halo 3?
Oh yeah, I suppose we did, didn't we? Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was, that's not very interesting.
Halo 3,
I guess.
And also iPhone 4.
Yeah, but that's not a game.
Yeah, but I'm playing one.
Yeah, I see they solved your screen resolution problem by just quadrupling the resolution.
Damn right.
Have you seen that? Yeah. Have you heard the rumor about the 3DS, the latest one?
What's that?
Apparently, it's more powerful than the Wii.
That'd be awesome.
Well, that would make sense. They need something meaty to make the 3D effect good.
Yeah, apparently it's closer to the 360 than the Wii in terms of its power.
Right.
This is the rumor.
Intrigued again.
Yeah, exactly. So that could be good. And have you seen the Rock Band 3 keyboard and guitar peripherals? Yeah.
Pro mode.
Have you seen the pro guitars?
I haven't seen them, but I've heard they're like 120 button monsters.
Yeah, they are. They're like completely mental. There's like a button at every position on the fret for every string. So
they've used like a MIDI controller or something on a normal guitar.
Yeah, well, they are. You can play it with a normal guitar as well. There's two. You can either get this button one, or you can use like a Squire Strat, which is specially designed, cool. I think, or with a MIDI. But you can actually play real. The only difference is apparently, like the Squire Strat actually goes up to 22 frets, and the buttons only go down to fret 17.
Wrap it up. 30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, right, this is the end.
This will all come out in E3, so don't panic.
I'm just waiting for us to have one of these podcasts where we keep talking over the end and then just have to kind of fade it out. It's like we talked too long, so instead of a direct cut, here's a fade out.
This is really inconvenient having to run across the room to see the time.
Yep.
Are you? Is that why you're across there? Because you want to end
5 seconds.
Say bye.
Bye.